Good morning, dear audience and speakers. A very, very warm welcome to the launch of the new European Innovation Council Greenhouse Gas Programme, in which we present to you climate action as an unequivocal business case. My name is Katrina Sickle. I'm a broadcaster and a moderator, and I have the privilege of navigating all of us around this 3-hour event from the privacy of my home office in Brussels. Now, hang on a second. Don't get freaked. Don't do what I call the Edvard Munch emoji when you hear the words 3 hours, because this duration is going to be packed like a TV programme. We've got a series of fireside chats, we've got some punchy roundtables, we've got some tete-a-tetes with various splendid brains. So the idea is that you will step away at lunchtime, not just better informed, but also inspired and enthused about the programme. Now, just to make sure you're at the right event, because as you all know, as well as I do, there is an event every hour online at the moment. We are here to celebrate and to profile a brand new initiative from the European Innovation Council, which, along with its community since 2017, has been helping to spur change through innovation for, well, always a competitive Europe. So the new EIC GHG Programme aims to create new green business opportunities for EIC funded companies and organisations, of course, to contribute towards Europe's goal of becoming the first climate neutral continent by helping those companies and organisations to significantly reduce their greenhouse gas emissions, helping them to develop business opportunities, to co-create new products and services, well, a whole lot more. So this isn't just blah blah. It isn't blah blah at all. We are going to walk and talk you through the practicalities of this properly useful initiative. We're going to give you some insights into the people and the projects who are already walking the talk and making a difference with their green business. So please do, the important thing is stay tuned throughout the whole journey if you want to get every last piece of the puzzle to fit into place and get the whole picture. Also, very importantly, you can contribute in a number of ways because we want to keep you engaged. So there are places throughout this event where we would like to hear your questions. You can put those just simply into the chat area on YouTube, and those will be curated by the organisers for, well, first of all, who gets there first, but most importantly for relevance, for interest and brevity. Please, lovely audience, keep your questions short and sweet. Say who you are and say to whom it is addressed. That really, really does help us. Of course, you can just share all of your enthusiasm and your ideas on Twitter at any point, #GHG emissions. Apart from being able to post questions, apart from being able to post tweets on social media, how else can you interact? Well, in a set of polls. We've got 5 of those in this event, and the first one that I'm going to ask you to participate in is now. So if you could please launch the first poll, I can ask these lovely ladies and gentlemen to get busy. Let's see who's awake. Well, the obvious one, why are you joining us today? Is it because you want to get information on the EIC GHG programme? Is it because you are literally a green geek? Has your company created a green innovation, or do you want to learn more about green business opportunities? Now, of course, it could be more than one, but we'd be very grateful. We're going to give you just a moment. At the moment, everything is on 0, so I'm going to give some time for people to take part in that poll. We're just testing if you've had enough coffee or, I don't know, whatever your tipple of choice is in the morning to take part in the poll. I'm just going to sit there, and if the lovely ladies behind the scenes want to tell me how long to wait and see, there we go. Now we have it. So we have some results. Well, I'm not particularly surprised that most people want to get information. That is the purpose of this event after all. Of course, a proportion of our audience are already committed green geeks. That's what we've called them. That's interesting. My company's created a green innovation already. So clearly you want to find out more, or you're going to share your success story about your company. And of course, it's all about the opportunities, and you want to hear now more about those, more information, and of course, learn more about green business opportunities. So as I said, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you for getting busy with your thumbs there. Secondly, there's 4 more polls coming up during this event, so please do get involved. There you go. The majority of you, of course, getting information on the programme. Well, all I can say is well done. You've come to the right place. Okay, we can clear the poll now. We are going to move directly from that into something a little bit different because, as you all know, a picture speaks 1,000 words. So rather than me blather on, we're going to play you a short teaser of the programme. So relax and enjoy this clip. Thank you. Well, I think the clip personally was so comprehensive that we could almost stop the event there and you can all go off and have 3 hours of coffee, but there is some more detail to reveal. I think what's really important to say is it said right at the start of there, let us support you. And I think you're going to find out very, very well how this new programme does just that. But to dive into more of the detail, it's not me who's going to give you that. It is, of course, the director of the European Innovation Council, Jean-David Malo. And may I now, well, there he is. I was about to say, may I welcome the man himself. You jumped on the opportunity. You've been like this horse waiting to get out of the starting blocks there. I'm not waiting for her to tell me to come to screen. How lovely to see you, and thank you very, very much, because it's important that you are with us and you are the man with the knowledge. So let me just give you a moment to officially welcome all these good people who are with us today. We did have, Jean-David, 288 registrations, and I think the numbers are mounting. Some people, 9 o'clock, still a bit early in this new age of not having to go into the office. So, but we have had a really, really nice number of registrations and interest. So over to you, please. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Katrina, and good morning to everybody. I would like to welcome warmly all the participants of today's event. As the director of EIC, you can imagine how I am thrilled to be here today to introduce this unique greenhouse gas emission program, which targets what is one of the most important challenges of the European Union, as you know. We have launched the new European Innovation Council and SMEs Executive Agencies. This is the official name of this acronym, which is EIC. A few days ago, in fact, on the 1st of April, in order to create strong synergies between innovators and in particular small and medium-sized enterprise, notably through innovation, but also with consumers. And in this new agency, our purpose is in particular to implement the European Innovation Council, which is, as you know, Katrina and dear colleagues, the Europe's most ambitious innovation initiatives that we had over the last decade, with over 10 billion euro to invest in breakthrough technologies and game-changing innovation, with the aims clearly to identify and support breakthrough technologies and innovation with the potential to scale up internationally. So it's an agency that will strongly support European innovators in transitioning their ideas from the lab to market. And through its smart money, we have clearly the idea with the EIC to target this challenge through both funding and business acceleration services. By this way, bridging the critical investment gap in early stage innovation and making market creating innovation easier in Europe. And you know, in this context, EIC beneficiaries are able to benefit from tailor-made coaching, mentoring, expertise, matching event with business partners delivered by a specialist provider and adapted to their innovation stage. And what is new today with this event is that we are now adding another important service for them with the EIC GHG program. So this gas emission reduction program, where we would like to provide them with additional services in order to demonstrate to them that indeed this program is, as mentioned in the short intro that you have shared to all of us, is indeed a business case. I mean, the green transition is a unique opportunity for everybody, and it's also a unique challenge for our society.
Thank you very much. And what's very helpful is that you pinpointed there some of those key aspects that we will look at today, not least the consumer role, scaling up internationally. You mentioned that, and that critical moment to go from lab to market. But the most important, before I ask you my first question, is indeed, I think that's important to underline, we are presenting a business case. Because I think, Jean-David, some people still need to be, if not convinced, they need to know how to do that, why it's a business case and what they can do to achieve that. Would that be a fair summary?
Yeah. So no, thanks a lot, Katrina. I mean, with the EIC GHG program and a budget of 3 million that we have dedicated to its implementation, what we want to do is to offer the support and expertise needed to assess, track, and efficiently reduce the carbon footprint of the beneficiaries and to co-create new green services and business. So it's very focused and very clear what we want to achieve and the type of service that we want to give.
So what would you say if you had to say, Kat, you and I are sitting in a lovely brasserie in, well, the day when we may be able to sit in a lovely brasserie, and I say to you, come on, Jean-David, if you had to say to me one or two novelties, you already talked there about assessing and tracking and co-creation. What would be a specific novelty in this program? What are you particularly proud of?
I mean, we will provide direct support and expertise to our EIC beneficiaries. We will help them to work directly with a number of corporates that will help them to change the way they are working. With increasing customer demand for green technology, you know that by definition, new regulation and more investors, including an environmental impact, could help them. So this is the kind of support that we would like to give them by working side by side with strategic partners. And this is why in the program today, you will have in particular the intervention of some of them. I know that my friend Youssef will be there, for example, just to give a flavor of this also during the day.
Indeed. Thank you very much. And again, all of that, working with corporates, co-creation, that's all stuff we're going to dive into. Let's look at the sort of what do we call it, the evidence-based side of things.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of months, I believe the European Innovation Council launched a survey
Yes.
to better understand the needs and the challenges that funded projects face, particularly concerning greenhouse gas emissions reduction. So in that context, could you just give us some of the top lines
Of
that came
course.
out of that, top line results?
Yes, of course. No, indeed. Our survey to gauge interest in the GHG program received a very impressive answer.
Yeah.
Response. I mean, we received several hundred response, more than 300 to be clear. Only a third of the response implemented any reduction measures, and only 12% has ever measured their carbon footprint. So this demonstrates the need for the carbon footprint assessment tool and the expert support for implementing GHG reduction actions that the GHG program will provide. Furthermore, over 80% of the respondents, Katrina, confirmed that they are interested in co-creating solutions. So you see that you have a huge demand, and that we have not yet, and we are very far from reaching the target.
That's very, very interesting. And yeah, that you say that only 12% had measured their carbon footprint. So it really feels like this is a coming together, a confluence of all sorts of circumstances, not least, of course, the European Green Deal and the recovery package, for people to really put their focus here and learn more. And I think what I want to underline, and I know people by the end, Jean-David, might say, oh Christ, we've heard it, but this word that you use, tailored, customized, clearly this program is not one size fits all. And I think
certainly not. The one size fits all cannot work in this particular dimension. It's out of question.
Out of the question. I love it. Okay, well, thank you so very much for being so concise and giving some more details there before we unpack the programme in more detail, more towards the end, actually. We're going to walk and talk people through it. In between, we're going to enthuse people with all sorts of success stories and show, you know, how this how the EIC works so well, how the program is obviously going to also work very well, and we're going to present more about the business case, climate action as a business case, so people go away very, very clear. So thank you. You are allowed to put your feet up. If you haven't got anywhere else to go, then please stay with us, put your feet up behind the scenes and follow the rest. Thank you for setting the scene. So lovely to have you with me.
My pleasure.
So, ladies and gentlemen, before we hear some more wise words from another couple of opening speakers, we have another poll, a second poll, please. Let's see if you're a bit more awake than the last time. Now you're a little bit used to the rhythm of this event. And of course, there's our question. Is your organisation, look, there's the best kid in school there saying yes. Is your organisation working to reduce greenhouse gas emissions? Yes, yes. And it's a woman saying yes. Hooray. No. No, absolutely not. No, but, you know, no, but we're willing to do it, you know. So let's see who, is anyone? Well, let's see who says what. I'll give you a little bit of time. Is your organisation already working to reduce greenhouse gas emissions? No, we've got a no. No one wants to say no without being willing, do they? Even anonymously, nobody wants to say no without being willing, but I guess you wouldn't be here at this event if you weren't willing, right? So yes, there is a proportion, actually a good proportion whose organisations are working to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. No, but we are willing to do it. We absolutely are. So we've got a balance there. So we need to put the ones on the left in the blue column with the ones on the right. That reminds me, actually, that lady of, I don't know if anybody's seen Donkey in Shrek when he's, yes, pick me, pick me. That's what she looks like. So we need to put the two together. So there we go. Just let that run a little bit. We've got more people saying absolutely yes. So that's good. Those in the audience, clearly, not just the speakers who we have with us today. Okay, we can clear the poll now as it keeps going up. And in just a moment, Jean-David Marlot there mentioned him already. I'm going to have a fireside chat with a particularly inspiring gentleman. But before that, what I'd like to do is give you the opportunity to hear from an EIC advisory board member who's also member of the Board of Trustees of the World Economic Forum and chairman at Siemens, Jim Snabe. So I think we've got a nice video from Jim. So sit back and have a listen.
My name is Jim Snabe. I am the chairman of A.P. Møller-Mærsk and of Siemens, and a proud member of the advisory board of the EIC. I am very excited about the launch of the EIC Greenhouse Gas Programme. In my mind, it's the right program at the right time. It's the right program because we need a dramatic acceleration of our climate actions in order to deliver on the Paris Agreement. And it's the right time. We're at this inflection point in human history. And as we recover from COVID-19, we must use this opportunity to accelerate the reduction of greenhouse gases, far beyond what we had in mind before the pandemic. If anything, COVID-19 taught me two things. First of all, human beings have an incredible capacity for change and can change really fast if we need to. And secondly, we were actually able to reduce CO2 emissions by 8% in 2020. To deliver on the Paris Agreement, we need a similar size reduction every year until 2030. It is obvious that this reduction cannot happen like we did in 2020, where we closed down countries. We need to find ways to accelerate innovation so that we can reduce greenhouse gases without reducing activity levels. The good news is that this is possible with today's technology. And in particular in Europe, the European Commission have earmarked a lot of the recovery funds to be focused around the Green Deal. So it is becoming a really good business to accelerate carbon neutrality and innovate carbon neutral solutions. I'm convinced that companies that can create business models around sustainability will define the future. Siemens and A.P. Møller-Mærsk are two examples of global companies who have turned sustainability into an opportunity. Our own commitments to carbon neutrality are very ambitious, and most importantly, we help our customers reduce their carbon in their factories, in their buildings, in their transportation systems, in their logistics. The EIC Greenhouse Gas Programme is a great environment to share such best practices and to learn. Companies of any size and any age, from startups to companies that are more than 100 years old, can come together and jointly find the best ideas and accelerate and scale the best innovations to create a sustainable future.
So a warm thanks to Jim in absentia for those brilliantly wise and helpful words there. And as a moderator, I think what's really important for me to underline, because I hear it across every sector where I moderate, is this need for cooperation and collaboration. And what particularly impresses me about this initiative is the fact that it is putting in place those very mechanisms to enhance that cooperation and collaboration, which is not always easy between the right actors to sit together. On another thing, actually, I was very impressed by his background. It's not often you see such a beautiful artwork behind somebody who is delivering a video for an event. So thank you very, very much to Jim there and for his eloquent words. So what better way to follow up on those pertinent thoughts with some more pertinent thoughts and advice from another EIC Advisory Board member. I am delighted to ask to join me in just a moment on screen, Youssef, who is founder of LG Sonic and chairman of Dutch business community Green Growers, among many other things, Green Growers Network. So if I can ask Youssef to switch on his camera and push me to one side of the screen so that we can share the stage together. Hello, so lovely to see you again, because we have seen each other a few times.
Yes.
And I'm so delighted because you're with me at 2 points in this event now, and you come back right at the end. Jean-David Marlot already mentioned you. If you just give me a couple of minutes to familiarise you with the audience, and then I'm going to grill you with a series of questions and give you a chance to share all of your expertise. Shall we describe you as an entrepreneur with innovative vision, but in particular water quality management, very interestingly, high data technologies and environmental monitoring? We say particularly specialising because you've received some awards in those areas, the Aquatech Innovation Award, the Shell Livewire Award, and a couple of points on the Green Growers Network, which, am I right, it's a non-profit, is that correct? The Green Growers Network is a non-profit that matches the large corporates with the challenges to be solved, with startups with potential solutions to solving those challenges. And it also advises government on I think it's your words, is understanding the pain points that these green startups are facing. In fact, I'm going to leave it to you. I was going to tell the audience, but you should say, how did you created LG Sonic in 2011. You received a grant from the European Commission. And how did you come to be on the EIC advisory board?
So the first of all, thank you very much for the nice introduction. As an entrepreneur, that's how I will describe myself. Like an entrepreneur is nothing more than a fighter to survive. So when I started in 2011, the company, it was really very, very hard to scale and to get it successful. First of all, it was an unknown face. Nobody knew Youssef. It was an unknown company. Nobody knew LG Sonic. And then it was also a new technology, making use of the big data and ultrasound to reduce chemicals in the water industry. So all these three unknowns was very, very hard to scale till we get the grant from Europe. And that's actually finally how also I got in the advisory board to make sure the sound, the needs, and the pain points of the startups in the green sector will be heard, and that the EIC program will be designed according to these needs.
Okay, so you've got all of that lived experience. And if I said to you, when we chatted before this event, I said, what I'd like you to do, and you used one word there, you said entrepreneur is a fighter. So there needs to be some energy and some vision and focus, obviously. How else would you define an entrepreneur? And even if it's in terms of how you would say, Kat, contrary to expectations, it's also not this. So how would you frame that for our audience?
So finally, an entrepreneur is solving somebody else's problem in a more efficient way than the competitors and than himself. And it's for sure not the angry activist, what I used to be. So when I started the business, I was so angry on every water authority or water treatment company. Why they are not using my technology? I am reducing their chemicals. So being an angry activist is not going to solve your problem. As an entrepreneurs, we are problem solvers. We need to focus on our customer, look where is their pain, and solve that in an efficient way, innovative way. And that's what I will describe as an entrepreneur.
Okay, thank you. And very, very interesting, I think they're very nuanced and interesting. And let me just remind our audience, which I didn't, if you have a question for Youssef, keep it short, keep it sweet and interesting. And if there is just a couple of minutes at the end of my chat with him, I am going to pose those questions. So do get busy, but keep them really short. No long paragraphs, please, ladies and gentlemen. A very obvious next question for you, Youssef, and I think it calls upon something that I heard from Jim there in the clip. He said this is the right programme at the right time for all sorts of reasons, not least he also said that the EU has earmarked some of the recovery funds specifically for the European Green Deal. But why this programme now? You know, what's special about its timing for green business?
Yeah, it's the timing is perfect for us as entrepreneurs. So forget about the fact I am in the advisory board. I have invested a lot in other companies, but I am an entrepreneur. I am a green entrepreneur. So the timing for us is amazing. First of all, the market opportunity is huge. At the same time, we see that Europe is investing a lot of money. We have the Green Deal. Just this morning, a new law has been agreed between the Parliament and the European Commission, the climate law, which will make it legal obligation for the countries to reduce their greenhouse emissions by 55% by 2030. So you can imagine this is an amazing timing for us because the market opportunity is there. And at the same time, if we will go back in time, and in 1817, there was the electrification. So everything became electric. Can you imagine like 10 years after that, somebody will come up with a steam engine? It's not going to work because it's the wrong timing. And at this moment, we are in a huge opportunity towards a green transition. So all the entrepreneurs, if you would like to grow and you would like to see a market where a lot of change is going to happen, it will be in the green sector, I would call it.
So as an extension for that, and obviously your enthusiasm is fabulous, and you didn't say that's a part of being entrepreneur, but clearly that enthusiasm to carry not just yourself, but your team around you. Let's just focus on that team co-creation, collaborative aspect, and delve in a bit more into the reasons why you agreed to be the face of the program. Now, you said, it's particularly at this time, you must get asked to front a lot of things or to be a part of a lot of boards. So what particularly attracts you? Why did you want to sort of be the face of this particular initiative?
Because I do believe in this program. It's very hard, as I described, to scale up a green business. One of the things we really need is a platform where we will showcase our success. That's first. So this program will give us the platform where we will get some promotion, some kind of extra promotion, let's say that. On the other hand, it's a very complicated process to innovate in a green sector. So it will be very good to co-create, and this program I will make sure the program will fulfill the need of meeting the right people. So when you will go to the events of this program, you will see the investors which are interested, but also other entrepreneurs and other great minds people facing the same problem. So by going and meeting these people, you are going to co-create something which is important for you.
Mm-hmm. And I like that. And just to I think, again, as we'd spoken before, what we want to emphasize also is you are putting like-minded people together working in similar sectors, so that there is going to immediately, you're not just putting a bunch of people representing very different sectors in a room, which, okay, you can always find overlaps, but you really are cherry picking and putting the right potential people together. And that's critical. Anything else where, just for a moment, before I talk about one of your other hats, you said it's very hard to scale up. You said the opportunity is there, the market is there. We need that shop window. We need to put people together. Is there one particular point where you see people who might start off with a lot of enthusiasm, even strategy, who might suddenly get a bit, is there that one moment where you can say, hang on, you need to get through that, or does it depend?
It really depends. Like, it's a very broad sector, but what we see a lot of times is that people want to change too fast, and they are very much in love with their technology. It's their baby. Okay. They have spent so much time with it, and they miss the most essential part of scaling, which is customer. Customers finally are getting you to scale, and it's not your product. So focusing on your customer need, getting to know your customer, meet people which know your customers. That's actually, I think, the most essential part of growing. On the other hand, practical point is most of the green technologies are hardware based. So it is hard to scale it. In a hardware like software, you can just hire more coders and it's easy to scale it. On a hardware, you have to build machines, and to scale it 10 times, you have 10 times the machines, so 10 times the investment. I will say make yourself connected with the people around you, make yourself known in the society and in the country. Make use of this kind of program, because it is really important to educate the people with the new technologies you are offering.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's interesting there, because later when you say, have a look around, it is also about looking outwards. It's also about looking at what's there. And we're going to hear from a cluster in the round table later, which is going to focus on that regional aspect, the wider aspect, really looking outside your own fishbowl, outside your own technology. So I think a really good piece of advice there, to focus on the customer, not just be in love with your tech. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you can, of course, ask questions. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to see if anything has come in. And if our lovely ladies behind the scenes want to let me know if something's come in the private chat, then at least I know how to time this chat with Youssef. I do just want to talk to you about this, your work in the non-profit, which I said related to green scale-ups, because I paused there when I'd explained it and said that you're sort of putting in touch corporates that have an issue with the startups that could be, absolutely have the solution, or raring to go with a solution that just needs to be sort of finalized. So that's a good example of co-creation, is it not?
Yes, absolutely. So you can imagine, if you are a startup with a new innovative technology, you would like to have someone which will say, yes, it is working. So if you have a recycled kind of plastic, it needs to be verified by an end user to say, yes, the quality meet our needs. And I think that's why the Green Scale Up organization has been founded, because the big corporates, they have the power to scale. They are known. They have the supply chain. They have all the people, the knowledge of the customer's need. And you have the technology. So it's an extremely good match. They will scale your technology. On the other hand, also, they will give you the reference, the paper where somebody is saying, yes, it is working, and you can show it to the others. Luckily, for the entrepreneurs in the EIC, we have a similar program, which is the Corporates Day. And also for the green sector, we have the EIC Planet Tech. It's an amazing initiative where we will do exactly the same. We will take these big corporates and we will match them with the EIC companies to let them have signed contracts, receive money, receive feedback from the customers, and also be able to scale.
Before I come to a last question, I'm still keeping an eye, but I think we're covering such tremendous ground. We haven't got, that's fine, because I love just having you here to ask my own questions. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you have something I haven't asked, you're absolutely welcome. Just a thought, and it's a question I'll pose on the roundtable too. This issue of internationalization, this issue of scaling up also internationally, which is a part of the program. Is that a little bit, I'll use the word, daunting, that, when you are working across perhaps a more complex value chain or a wider value chain, to be able to really anchor and proliferate all of your green practices and operations and approaches across something that's bigger, of which you might feel, oh gosh, how on earth do I do that? Is there any sort of, do you look at that in the program, mentoring and training around that scale up internationally?
Yes, so there is mentoring in the EIC, but also during this program, you will have peer-to-peer. So you will have people which are just a little bit more or later on the phase in their company than you. So you can have already the peer-to-peer, and you will have also access to knowledge and to tools, to IT tools, where you will be able to monitor your actions, and we are going to help you optimize the processes to reduce the green gases emissions.
Now, you are a well-travelled gentleman, and obviously must be around all sorts of different people, with different expertise, from different backgrounds, from different countries. So the obvious question, I think, is to ask you, if you had to cherry pick any kind of approach or any kind of mindset from somewhere else, can you just say sort of 2 or 3? I like what they do there, Kat, for this reason, or that really resonates. Or if you want to say also what you think Europe does really well, because sometimes I don't think we hear it enough, feel free.
First of all, I will say how well Europe is doing it. And because what we see is China and US, they are really focusing on the internet growth. So you have the Facebook, Amazon, Alibaba. And what we could see, also because of Franz Timmermans Green Deal, we have put so much focus on being the leader of the green transition. And we are going to make it in Europe. Because again, the timing is amazing. The people mindset is changing. They don't want to damage the planet anymore. They really would like to buy the things which will help the planet to sustain. On the other hand, the government are open for a new innovative approach. It's not always easy. There is a lot of regulation which need to be changed. So that's not something which is overnight, but we do see a change in the behavior. And if I will choose a mentality, maybe I will say Israel. So what we know, like Israel, Singapore, those are the small countries which are facing large challenges, water challenge, climate change challenge. And you can see they are very much innovative. The government itself is putting a lot of money to solve these challenges. And I do really like this mindset of just do it.
Okay. I was about to say to you, and absolutely, and if you have to say they're really innovative, because there are so many definitions for that. I started with a definition. What's your definition of entrepreneur? What's your definition of innovative there in that context? You just cited Israel.
I will say still solving customer problem in a more efficient way. And that more efficient way, if I will describe the efficient way, I will say innovative way. So like finding out a better technology or a better process to improve that efficiency.
Okay, thank you. A last question, because I can actually end our chat on time. And if anyone thinks of some questions retrospectively, Youssef is going to be back at the end with me, so you can have a chance to reflect and pose those. But if I had to say complete this sentence, Youssef, if I had to say you should participate in this fabulous new program because...
Why you should not? So it's because you have to, as an entrepreneur, to grab each opportunity which is in line with your company vision. And if you are a green scale up or startup, this is the one single program giving you all the tools and the network to scale the next phase. It is hard, and when hard things are facing you, you need to grab each opportunity to fight for it. And I think that's why you really, as a green entrepreneur, really need to participate and to be active in the platform, because the more active you are, the more people will see you, the network will grow, and the customer will be able to find you and believe in your story as well.
Absolutely. And believing in your story is critical, and spreading, I think, all of that energy to others and to create that buzzing ecosystem. Clearly, even just having you with me for 15 minutes, and I think most likely for our audience as well, they can see why you are good at what you do. So it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with me. I also love the fact that you've had people walking in the background, but nobody, thank goodness, who's come out of a bathroom naked, which, as we all know, has happened. Oh God, see, this is it, right at the end, when I say everybody and I say I'm about to end on time. If you're a green startup, oh, there we go. Sorry, I thought it was a question. No, they are actually putting your fabulous quotes out there. Look at that. If you're a green startup, this is the right program to help you scale. And it could not come from the mouth of a person more qualified to make that statement. So I thank you very much. You can relax off screen, do whatever it is you need to do, keep an eye on the event, and please do, because I'm going to ask you to come back at the end and drop a few gems of wisdom from what you've heard and perhaps what you haven't heard before I close at 12 o'clock. So thank you, and see you later.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So some really inspirational, some practical, some lived advice there, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to move straight on to our round table. It's a round table in two parts. The round table is entitled How Reducing GHG Emissions Can Impact Business. We said we are presenting climate action as an unequivocal business case. Now, what we've done for your brains to take it on, to have a bit of a breather, is to chunk up the round table into two parts so that all the stories, the best practices, the messages that you hear are delivered in a way that's useful for you and you can sort of package and take them away without being overwhelmed, because we do have 5 speakers. They represent a broad stakeholder mix whose experience and whose expertise demonstrate well some of those key aspects of the programme we've talked about, specifically how collaboration radically boosts the development of a successful green business. We've got EIC funded startups, global enterprise, industrial association. We've got a European region, as I already mentioned there in my chat with Youssef. They are all here today around the digital table. So first of all, before I ask them to join me on screen, I think we might have a little bumper showing who they are. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. So I will introduce them and I will say a few words about each before I put them under the spotlight. But before I ask them to switch on their cameras, of course, I'm going to come back to you with another poll, because I'd like you to get busy. I'd like to know that you're still with us and enthused. So here we have it. It's poll time. What is that poll? Would you accept the challenge of collaboratively co-creating the best cost-effective solutions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions? So obviously, ladies and gentlemen, collaborative, co-create. Don't just focus on your own technology, as Youssef said, focus on your customer, but also bring your energy to the party and find those like-minded people and enthuse those like-minded people. And perhaps don't have misperceptions about corporates and what they can actually offer you within the context of a partnership. So here at the moment, we've changed, as you see, a little bit the way it looks. I would love to co-create a solution to reduce third parties' greenhouse gas emissions. I would help, that's the middle one, I would help in finding the right co-creation counterparts. I would help. I don't know if co-creation is the right approach to my organization. I'm not quite there yet. Okay. So you've got already not sure if it's the right approach. It'd be interesting to know why somebody doesn't. It's really good to hear all sorts of different perspectives. I would love to co-create a solution to reduce third parties' greenhouse gas emissions. And I would help. So you've got the helpers there, finding the right co-creation counterparts. And some people just, yeah, I'm not sure co-creation is the right approach. So might be interesting if those who are sitting in that box there or in that part of the poll have any comment on that, feel free to put it in the comment area on YouTube. So there you go. You've got the vast majority saying I'd love to co-create a solution, and you've got a good bunch of people saying I would help in finding the right co-creation counterparts. So interesting results. Interesting results. So what have we got here? Reducing emissions is using clean energy, use energy efficient products and bio-based materials that are recyclable, reusable, produced by low energy consuming manufacturing processes, exactly what we do. So there we go. We can clear that. We're going to now see 5 people, so not just me. So if I can please ask my lovely speakers to switch on their cameras and join me on screen. Thank you very, very much. There you all are. You've been very patiently, ladies and gentlemen, they did jump on at some God-forsaken hour this morning. They have patiently been waiting behind the scenes following this. Now here they are. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I have very splendidly but politely terrorized them into formatting this like what I've called a brain box bingo. That means, ladies and gentlemen, I could sit around a table with you till 5 in the morning with a glass of Saint-Emilion talking to you, because you're all fabulous and have brilliant stories to tell, but they got to be short ones. So this first part of the roundtable, just for the benefit of our audience, focuses on approaches and solutions that can reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We've got examples of innovations from the offer versus the demand side to highlight and demonstrate the business, the co-creation aspects of the programme. Let me remind our audience that we will take a few questions once we've heard from our speakers. And before we invite them back for a second part of the roundtable, ladies and gentlemen, you do get a chance to have a 10-minute coffee, gin, water, whatever, break. Okay, but don't forget, a question has to be short and sweet. Say to whom it's addressed. Okay, you have a series of questions that I will put to you, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to start with the gentleman from SmartX. Where are you? Gilberto Loureiro, co-founder. You can wave, and we can see your name, but Gilberto, if you want to wave, you can. We love to do that. It's like a 1970s TV show. You are co-founder and CEO at SmartX. It's a Belgian company. Now, you might want to describe it. You're sorry?
It's a Portuguese company.
Sorry, why did I say Belgian? I don't know why. Well, it's a good thing I asked. Well, you explain yourself. I don't want to get it wrong. I know you're passionate about technology and textiles. That's very important. And when you were 15 years old, I find this an incredible story. You were a textile quality inspector at a small factory in Portugal. I mean, other people were going to discos and eating sweets and riding bikes, and you were. How did that happen?
But I got some money to go to the disco after, right? So I was the richest kid in the discotheque.
The richest kid and also a specialist. But in your company, you are focused on working towards, and this is very particular, fully digital industry and supply chain. And I think your mantra is a little bit, technology should serve humanity with automation. Serve it with automation to provide something clean, transparent, traceable, and minimal waste. So I'd like to hear on our audience about SmartX, because your innovation is very, very particular. It uses AI and computer vision to reduce the need to waste raw materials, water, energy, and also time to prevent defective textiles production. So it's very eco-conscious production processes. The obvious first question is, what is the concrete impact this innovation has on the reduction of the emissions of your clients? Tell us how you do that and what the results are.
Correct. Before all, thank you so much for the kind invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with all of these folks. To tell you about the concrete impact that we create. For those who don't know, the textile industry is a little bit archaic, but massive. It's one of the most polluted industries in the world, very inefficient in terms of waste. They produce lots of waste here and there because of defects, because of a bunch of processes. I won't go into details. But believe it or not, the textiles, every time they are produced, they have a bunch of people after just inspecting it. And then they go to the next factory to get some chemicals or some color. And then what happens is having more people inspecting it. And this happens like 5 times in the life of a textile roll, which is a pretty awful job. I had the pleasure to do it. So that's a personal hate. And now I'm here trying to solve it. Right. So basically what we do is we install a bunch of cameras inside textile machines so we can create this digital version of a roll map with automated inspection. We can also avoid defective production with predictive defective production by stopping machines, by alerting people. And the impact is, honestly, you wouldn't believe, but inside the textile factory, like 5% of the production is wasted just because of defects. And this counts with more than 33 billion euros per year, just in waste of textiles, okay, just in the garbage that they are, not counting with garments in the garbage, etc. And yeah, this is the impact we create. Each month, we can save more than 20,000 kilos of CO2, just for you to have an idea, and millions of liters of water.
Thank you very, very much. And again, I just say to everybody, if anybody, and I'm just going to let everybody wave because you're all sitting there politely. If anybody would want to contact speakers, I hope not in a deluge afterwards, you are all there and available because I'm just scratching the surface with you all. We've also got with us from EIC funded Carbon Clean, Eberhard Wusterhaus Gomez. So there you go. He's, well, for me, you are on the top row right next to me. We've got Sandra Andreu, who is Chief Marketing and Innovation Officer at Suez. You are also on the top row for me, Sandra. Hello. You may smile like the Queen if you wish. We also have there Yanis Falas, who is representing the cluster. I love that too. Yay! Of bioeconomy and environment of Western Macedonia, somebody who's very, very experienced in clusters, so can talk about all of that collaborative process and achieving mindset change, and the very lovely Malgosia Rybak, who is at CEPI, which is the Confederation of European Paper Industry. So just to give you, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of a smattering and a flavour of who we have got stories and experiences from today. So thank you. You gave some very impressive concrete statistics there, and I will come back to you. I'm going to let Eberhard from Carbon Clean come in now. Now, Carbon Clean is a global company. It's not based in Belgium or Portugal. I'm just laughing. I'm not going to get that wrong again, Eberhard. I think what's very interesting is it's led by industry experts, and it's very comprehensive. You're designing, you're building, you're financing, you're operating industrial carbon capture systems. And I think you've been with the company since 2016. So a few years now, responsible for sales and business development, and with a huge decarbonising ambition. So my first question to you is that Carbon Clean is reducing industrial CO2 emissions, also with an innovative technology, and one of the few companies in the world who are actually specialising at this scale in carbon capture. So tell us about, very briefly, that concrete impact that innovation has on reducing the carbon emissions of your clients. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Katrina. Good morning to you and to everyone. Yes, correct. It's without a doubt that we also need to capture CO2 to reach our targets against climate change, correct? So carbon capture technologies allow our clients to decarbonize those facilities which have CO2 emissions from their boilers, kilns, turbines, furnace, etc., right? So a key factor to create that impact is to enable those cost-effective solutions into the market. And the heavy industry requires feasible concepts. And this is where we, as Carbon Clean, is playing a crucial role. So our solutions allow already our clients to trace that roadmap to a net zero carbon emissions, with a plan between what is possible today and what will be our next generation technology, which reduces considerably three main challenges that we see currently in the industry. On one side is the cost for the installation of this type of technologies. The other one is the deployment, the time for this deployment. And in terms of the installation itself, the complexity and the footprint that is required. So with these three main challenges, we are approaching that industry and proposing this type of solutions.
It's very fascinating. And I think, you very well explained there what a roadmap really means, the importance of looking ahead, but the importance for a company from a cost-effective perspective. Just before I move to Sandra, let me just come back on, you said cost-effective solutions. Do you find with your clients that their first driver is cost, or understanding the link between cost and climate action as a business case, or really, God damn it, we have to be a part of this. We've got the European Green Deal. The time is now. We can't wait. That's sort of more environmentally conscious. What's the main driver? Or
I think that in general, the industry is very aware that they need to bet on innovation and that they need to do an investment nowadays on new technologies and new concepts for the later future, where they are going to integrate this into their economies and in general to their business plan. So they want to find that balance on what they can invest and bet right now on technologies that see that they have a business plan in the future with it and create what we call a circular carbon economy as well.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you. And I hope all of these lovely people who are in their boxes are all learning something too. Thank you for your patience. I like to give a little bit of time to download there. And of course, ladies and gentlemen of my panel, if we have time and there aren't too many questions from the audience and you will have a comment or a question for a fellow speaker, don't forget that you can also simply raise your hand and come in a little bit later. So Sandra, you began your professional career in the late 90s in the field of engineering. So you, I love this. Female engineers a rarity, or females in the engineering sector a rarity. But you joined Suez back in 2013. You were in one position there, weren't you? Working with the Deputy Managing Director in charge of Water Europe. You went elsewhere for a while, and then you became Suez's Chief Marketing and Innovation Officer. It's great to be Head of Innovation in early 2019. So I think what would be useful for our audience is to give an overview of the strategy and the approach that Suez has towards sustainability, and perhaps those 2 or 3 key elements of your sustainability strategy.
Yeah, thank you very much. So at Suez, we developed a new value proposition called 360 Sustainability. So what does it mean? You understand that sustainability is at the heart of our strategy. First of all, we offer solutions and services that have a positive impact on sustainability. We offer to industrial customers, local authorities, and public a portfolio solution focusing on human health and quality of life, on circular and sustainable economy that reduces the carbon footprint of industrial and economic players, while conserving and restoring the planet's natural assets and delivering excellence and working with local partners. So I will comment, for example, the examples of offers that we developed, such as Biofactory and the green landfill, so new concepts of wastewater treatment plants based on circular economy, new concepts of landfill based on circular economy and local partnership. And we also, as a second element, have a reinforced climate strategy. So we really have commitments for 2030 aligned with a 1.5 degree trajectory. It means reducing 45% of our direct and indirect greenhouse gas emissions, and also help our customers avoid 20 million tons of CO2 emissions a year. And finally, we have a performance plan for our activities, including strong commitment on water reuse, waste recovery, energy efficiency, and self-sufficiency also on energy, and with stakeholders' commitments also. We have already 25% of wastewater reused, 50% of waste recovered in materials and energy form, 8.7 terawatt-hour renewable energy generated, 55% of suppliers' contracts, including corporate social responsibility clauses, and 69% of employees receiving training. So it's really a strong engagement to sustainability that we have taken and that we're developing.
And not just strong, but very, very comprehensive. And just before I move on, please, to Yanis, and then to the very, very patient lady from SEPI. Quick, oh, I'm just hearing some reverb with me. I'm going to slow down. You are a world leader, so you have a high profile as a company. Do you feel that you need to be pioneers in that? I mean, I'm asking what people's, we talked about mindsets, drivers, reasons for carrying people through. Is that company philosophy partly because you have this profile and you can pull others along with you and inspire others in a kind of a co-creative way even?
Yeah, that's right. That we are really pioneering in different aspects. For example, when I talked about the Biofactory example in wastewater treatment, we developed it in Chile some years ago, and we had an award in the COP21 about that. We were the first one to propose this new type of contracts, is to say that we are paid in function of the quality of the water treated by the wastewater treatment plant, in function of this self-sufficiency in energy. So yeah, we try to pave the way, to pave the path, to give this example to other companies, and we try to go further each time. And that's why it's important yet to go fast and to invent those new business models for green development and for GHG reduction. But yeah, it's a technical issue and a business model issue.
Okay, thank you. And just saying, Eberhard, I hope you don't disappear. You're flickering a bit. Just to say to everybody, you're not a hologram. He is there, even if he's flickering. It's a little bit Mission Impossible, but you absolutely are there. You're not going to suddenly peel off your face and become somebody else. So I am keeping my eye on the clock. clock, ladies and gentlemen. If there are questions, we'll have time for 2 or 3 at the end. But I'm going to push on because I've got 3 rounds of questions for our speakers first. So Yanis, King of Clusters, should we call you that? A Director of Bioeconomy and Environment Cluster in Western Macedonia. So you represent the European Hydrogen Valleys Partnership, Bio-Based Industrial Consortium and the European Bioenergy Partnership. You're a very, very busy man. You've project managed many innovative and research projects, coordinated, and this is key for us here, many important regional projects. And of course, you've also applied your research in traditional sectors of the economy, wood, biomass, bioenergy. So suffice to say, Yanis, you are highly qualified to be on our panel today. So the obvious first question, I think, to you is, in the path towards decarbonisation of Western Macedonia, what would you say the main challenges that this cluster, this bioeconomy and environment cluster, faces on that journey? 2 or 3 main challenges.
All right, Katrina, thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation, and hi from Greece, northwestern part of it. Our region has been the heart of electricity production, a dirty one from lignite, and that is exactly in the center of my answer. The first thing we have to change is change our mentalities and mindset. I heard Youssef talking about it. I heard other speakers speaking about it. I think it's crucial for us. So for decades, people were used to consider having safe job as a privilege, despite the huge environmental impact. We need to alter the way of thinking and open up new horizons for the society. And that's also where innovation will play a crucial role. The second point I would point out is the fossil fuels lobby. It is still strong. It is still very evident, not only in Western Macedonia, globally. And I would oppose it to the renewables that are not yet syndicated, as one would say. And we, as a cluster, we are trying to do our best to contribute to that. And then costs and funding. This was raised by speakers before. This transition implies huge costs, and funding is promised, but not totally secured. So we need to see that there are adequate resources in place to make this transformation happen.
Thank you very much. And I think interesting with the mindsets, and of course with changing mindsets goes making people feel comfortable along that transition, not sort of bullying them into change or scaring them into change or guilting them into change. And I'm sure that we will hear more about that along the course of the event. I won't stop now because I'm going to move on so that I can give you all a chance to download across the 3 questions that I have for you. So I'm going to come directly to Malgosia at CEPI, where you are quite recently there and you're responsible for climate change and energy issues. So quite a huge portfolio, but you are a public affairs whiz. You do have a lot of knowledge. And I think that's important to say of the national and the European decision-making processes, and also some real in-depth knowledge of circular economy issues. So the first question should be a breeze for you. And I asked the same one. What are the main challenges that the paper and the pulp industry face in your own journey towards decarbonisation?
Well, obviously, it's finding the right partners for innovation, because part of our GHG emission reduction is going to come from the decarbonization of energy systems. So together with the decarbonization of electricity, of our gas supply. But at the same time, we need technology developers and innovators to help us to come up with technologies that are very specific for our industry. And this is where this program comes into play, where we can reach out to and co-create those solutions. So 2 of the things that we propose to be launched later this year, it's one, to look at innovation in heat pump technologies, which is going to be integrated in our process. And another one, which is also quite interesting, is improving digital control of our process to make it more efficient.
Okay, so you must have found that quite interesting to hear from Gilberto there, what they're doing with AI and cameras, and that must be something really fascinating to hear.
Honestly, all the interventions today are music to my ears, honestly. So I already can see some of the partners that we can reach out to, even with Eberhard and Carbon Clean.
Okay, good. That's the purpose of getting you all together. So it's 11 minutes past 10. I've got about 15 minutes with you, and then I'd like to pass to audience questions. So I'm going to ask you to be very, very concise in your answers to the next 2 rounds of questions. I'm going to come back to you, Gilberto, if I may, because then it kind of gets everybody having a moment to talk at a reasonable interval. So let's talk partners. We heard there from Malgosia the importance of partners. SmartX was supported by valuable partners. I think the group, an international group, Lenzing, headquartered in, please tell me I've got Hong Kong right for the headquartering. I have got that right, haven't I? Hong Kong. And it produces materials.
Their headquarters is in Austria, but they have facilities in Hong Kong.
Did you tell me all this? I don't normally make these kinds of mistakes. I do come very well prepared, so I'm glad I checked with you. I'm just keeping you on your toes deliberately. So I think you partnered in 2019, but you're using all sorts of things, equipment and textiles, but also the technical knowledge. So just give us a little bit of an insight into that. How did the partnership come about, and what does it bring to you?
Correct. Lenzing is a very innovative corporation that creates textile fibers out of trees and cellulose. So it's very interesting because it's one of those corporations that takes sustainability approaches very seriously, and they helped us a lot to develop our technology in their facilities in Hong Kong to improve our system faster. We were living in China by that time, creating our hardware, which is something that you quite don't see much in the textile industry. As Youssef was saying, our customers, they need to see other types of benefits, like they need to be commercially sustainable, commercially like profitable. And then the sustainability part, the environmental sustainability part, comes in second place. Unfortunately, that's still how the textile industry works. However, with Lenzing was completely the opposite. They were driven by this sustainability approach, maybe because of marketing reasons, maybe because of their own vision. We can tell, but in general way, they were super helpful with us and were a fundamental part of our development. So we are always thankful for that.
Okay, so I bet God, when you came across them, I bet you came away from that first meeting and went, yes, woo. That was, because sometimes it's very rare. It's rare these days sometimes to come across people or organizations who have that same spirit and where you can see a good fit. So that must have been quite an uplifting moment for you. Let me turn. Go on.
Sorry. I was just saying that we received lots of kind invitations from other industries like paper industry, metal industries to adapt our systems to there, which is obviously interesting for us. Unfortunately, as a small company, one of the main reasons why startups die is because they want to try to do everything at the same time. And so we are one of the lucky ones that have the opportunity to be supported by EIC. With a very interesting grant from EIC, and we need to laser focus in what we are doing now. And once we kill that niche, okay, then we jump to others. This is just a general advice for my startup folks.
My God, you must have been a dynamo at 15. Good Lord, you must have. I mean, it must have been that kid in class that everybody's like, ooh, I want to be with him. I want to be in his gang. Eberhard, and I can ask my lovely ladies behind the scenes if there's questions. Give me an idea of how many. I'm keeping my eye on the clock as best I can. Your company, Eberhard, has also a lot of experience. Let's stick with partnering with large corporates and with other organizations. I think Veolia, you've also worked with to develop carbon capture trials in UK energy recovery facilities. So what are the key ingredients to making this partnership work? What do you bring to them and them to you?
Correct. Katrina, I will summarize this to 3 key ingredients that we always focus in our company. And the first one, I believe, is vision. Large corporates and in general, the heavy industry require solution providers which give a landscape of carbon capture for either utilization or storage. So they need that comprehensive knowledge as well in this jungle of different types of applications, solutions, technologies, regulations. So that is part of the key factor to give that security and confidence. Then the second ingredient that we adopt is always, as a company, innovation. The industry has exhaustively looked for solutions in the past decade that really fits in the economies required. So the conventional process is only a transition towards a new, less expensive and modular technology, that it is what the industry is really looking forward to. And I think that last but not least is that cost effectiveness that I mentioned before. Our solutions were established with the aim to motivate the industry to bet and rely on carbon capture. Since the beginning of this decade, this is what many of them are taking as a starting point, 2020 to 2030, to engage and focus directly in what it means, decarbonization of their assets. We propose solutions based on process integration with a full understanding as well on the economies and the synergies required as well to allow the opportunity to make a business niche, as was also mentioned today by Gilberto, and also to make CO2 utilization even profitable for the emitter.
Yeah. Very interesting. And that's, I like the way, absolutely, there's got to be, it's got to be just a win-win-win. Absolutely. And that has got to be presented as a business case. But so crucial to that business case, as you say, is that vision. What I picked out there, and that's brilliant, that is a jungle, the regulation, the technology, the targets, the this, the that. Is it an operations? Is it this? Is it that? So I think that's a really nice way of describing it, the importance of, I think you said, giving confidence and reassuring alongside the step-by-step process. Let me come to you, Sandra, again, because it's sort of picking up on that spirit of pioneering and leading and so forth. You've also partnered with different startups to achieve some of the goals and some of the actions that you explained to us there. So I might say to you, well, hang on a minute, why do you guys need to partner up? Look at you, you're huge, you're fabulous, you're known. So what were the benefits? What were just three briefly benefits of doing so for Suez?
Yeah, it's important to partner with startups for us, but also with some academic entities, with suppliers and industry of the value chain. First, because it's not possible to dream for a sustainable world without breaking the silos, without really working together, applying the circular economy concepts. And circular economy comes with partnership. Secondly, because everything is changing very fast with the digital transformation, with the health issues, with the population and cities growth, which needs really to change very fast. And so to plug and play new technologies. So we need to have teams working on the dynamic of the long-term contracts that we're managing, and also teams working on the adaptation of the business, having antennas outside of the group and looking for the best innovation that could help to adapt the business to these important challenges. So working with startups gives us different benefits. So first, to source and implement quickly digital transformation, game changer solutions. So we talked about digital transformation and the new technologies in IA, computer vision that can help really change our business as usual. Also find new technologies, such as a carbon clean one that has been presented, to really new products, new technologies, new solutions to develop faster our positive impact solutions. So yes, I am thinking about carbon capture solutions, energy efficiency technologies, transformation of our byproducts in valuable resources, also in circular economy. So for all those topics, we are partnering with external partners that develop interesting technologies. And finally, to be able also to accelerate, to test and learn fast without being afraid of failure. Because corporates generally are afraid to fail. And working with external partners, maybe it's less difficult to fail and to learn from failures and to go ahead. Because we want to advance fast and try and test. And I think there are the three main reasons why we are working with startups externally.
Thank you. That's very, very clear. And I like, that's a great, I think there's some nodding going on there. It's a great comment to say, even these big companies, it helps us not to be afraid of failure. Perhaps we're a bit anchored, and breaking out of those silos is like a breath of fresh air, and enhancing agility and in this world of very, very fast change. And you use the word adaptability there. So ladies and gentlemen, we've got about 10 minutes and I've got a second question for two of you and then a last round. So ladies and gentlemen, of my audience, after that, you do get to have a breather for 10 minutes before we have the second part of the roundtable, so you can go and get some fresh air and the tipple of your choice. So Yanis, your region, let's really, come back to this issue of the region. It's developing all sorts of different R&D and business activities to reinforce this organic, this green, as we heard, this circular economy. Is there a particular example where you've collaborated with an innovative SME to find some kind of tailored solution for your region's specific challenges? Could you just pinpoint one to bring that to life for us?
No, I can pinpoint a lot. But
well, thank you for that.
Well, I can more talk about projects because EU projects, we love the richness of the consortia, bringing different SMEs and different stakeholders and research institutions together around the same topic. We absolutely love it. So maybe one example might be a live M3P project where we build a material matchmaking platform where at local and regional level, we bridge one's waste with another company's needs. So we bring them together and they actually exchange their product for one, waste for the other. Maybe a couple of Horizon projects where we are heavily involved. One of them might be Nomad, a mobile unit for the recovery of specific nutrients to produce high-performance biofertilizers. So it's a slightly different domain. As well as Scalibur, another project for turning urban biowaste into a new production chain. Using, I don't want to go into too much detail because it's almost lunchtime, but we apply special flies to eat the waste and produce these bio-waste materials. And maybe last but not least, not to forget our involvement in building a green hydrogen hub in the region by attracting world-class innovative SMEs under a White Dragon IPCEI project. We're very proud of all these.
That's brilliant, thank you. And everybody's going to walk. I saw Gilberto's face there when you mentioned special flies. I saw his eyes light up. Everybody, I want to know, why are they so special? Are they bionic? Are they green and blue? Do they have 75 wings? Why are they special, these flies?
Because they are the ones that can better eat these waste and better produce these bioplastic. They are called black soldier. I don't know if really it's a bit annoying subject to discuss and even to smell, but it's fantastic.
I bet you are the man that goes to bed with acronyms and projects and materials and all sorts of stuff whizzing around your head. It's absolutely fascinating. Thank you for those.
My daughter is fascinated by these terms.
Yeah. Thank you for all of those brilliant examples. Haven't forgotten you, please, our lovely lady from CEPI. You talked about the importance of partnerships. You looked at some of the strategy and the initiatives. You are enrolled in all sorts of different industry initiatives. I do know that because I've had the privilege of moderating for CEPI last autumn that reinforce the circular economy and also reduce the paper industry's carbon footprint. Again, talking of collaboration, any example of a collaboration with a particularly innovative SME where there was a tailored solution that you found to the challenge you were facing? It was very much like Youssef's work at the beginning, trying to match that.
I will need to steal Yanni's line, and I cannot really name one because there is a vast so many case studies of our companies and SMEs, because we need to remember that for the pulp and paper industry, we're quite special because 2/3 of our companies that we represent are actually SMEs. So we represent almost 900 mills, and that means also for us quite of a challenge because there are across Europe in different regions with different specificities, and that means that for their carbon savings, there are going to be different solutions that would make more sense. And having said all that, I invite you to look at our website, Reinvest 2050, and then every 2 years, for the third time this time, we're gathering together case studies from across Europe on projects that implemented energy efficiency and renewable energy across our sector. And what is interesting, apart from highlighting how much CO2 we save, we also talk about the partners that are needed to make those projects happen. So sometimes it's local authorities, sometimes you have financing institutions, and sometimes you have also SMEs and technology developers. And what Eberhard said about the vision, yes, it is very important for us to have that vision, because at the end of the day, what we can do with EIC GHG program is a little bit short term. So tweaking the processes that we have now. But ultimately, what we will have to look at is breakthrough technology. So for the pulp and paper industry, it's going to be, for example, making paper without water to make the whole process more energy efficient.
That's very interesting. I was just catching up with scribbling there, and I think nice to know. Yes, everybody has different. You talked about the number of mills that you represent there, and this fact, and I think that's critical. And I also think it's one of the beauties of the EU. One of the real USPs is this sharing of stories you talked about there, including the partners. I think it's critical to enthuse others. It's critical to inform others, to get them along that path. So that sounds very interesting. We have 8 minutes, so that gives you 90 seconds each to answer my last question before we break for coffee. Coffee. So Gilberto, Mr. SmartX, Mr. Textiles, Mr. Interested in Special Flies, I see. What are some of the major trends that you're noticing in your sector? Because I think there's a difference between the fashion brands and the textile manufacturers in terms of their openness. I call that from you to sustainability. But what are some of the major trends, just 2 or 3, that you're noticing with regard to business level sustainability?
Correct. Yeah, the consumers, we feel that that movement from the consumers for more sustainable materials. Therefore, the fashion brands are also moving into that direction and trying to push their supply chain to that direction. However, the textile industry is super vertical. It goes from the fiber to the garments, and it takes like 10 different companies to do it. So the fashion brands might influence just the garment manufacturers, but not the mills of the fabrics or the yarn suppliers, for example. So that's one of the main challenges for the fashion brands, is to try to penetrate new technologies deeper. There are other trends that we feel from government initiatives. We feel many times companies asking for our solutions because there is a European grant that will help me put this and that, because this is sustainable, this is technology advanced, etc. So we also feel that front, but however, that also has some negative sides, because sometimes we need to wait like 1 year for a grant to start implementing the technology instead of implementing it now. So still lots of challenges to solve. We feel that the world in general is going into that direction. I truly believe that the first trillionaire in the world will address climate change issues. We really believe that this is a mega trend that everyone is moving to, but still there is lots of work to do.
Thank you very much. I'm going to come directly, instead of commenting, which I would normally do, I'm going to really be Mrs. Eye on the clock and come to you, Eberhard, and say exactly the same question to you. What major change in your sector with regard to business level sustainability?
Well, there's a big awareness, definitely, that this is not a sprint race, but mostly a marathon. You know, the industry knows very, very well that in order to achieve this huge challenge against climate change, we will need to dedicate decades of intense transformation into an ecosystem where renewable energy, CO2 management, recycling of byproducts, and very important, regional focus are a must. All of these combined, you know, to become that next generation of industry. All these industries need to prepare to be into that next generation that are aligned with the policies and with the demands of the society to become carbon neutral.
I thought you were. You had that sense that you were going to continue there, but absolutely, I think it's interesting, and that echoes what you said about this roadmap. And I like the idea, and so one needs quite a lot of energy if it's a marathon, not a sprint. That's for sure, and to keep pace in the long term in navigating, as you said, the way through the jungle. So thank you very, very much. I like that idea of next gen industry. Sandra, a question for you. So let's talk about investors. because investors are going to see it as a value, sustainability as a value in the long term. And as I understand it, 2 major extra financial rating agencies recently awarded your sustainability performance, not your personal, obviously, maybe. And Suez is listed in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index consecutively for 11 years. So are there any, just 1 or 2 particular opportunities arising from this environmental work, would you say? Just cherry pick, as we've only got 3 or 4 minutes left for everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, so first of all, we developed positive impact offers. So it's a differentiating element from our competitors, and it helps us to grow to grow our business. Sustainable solutions. So, for example, I was talking about the new concept of biofactory for wastewater treatment plants. We are selling contracts in which there is a performance-based remuneration of the contract, based on the self-sufficiency in terms of energy, based on the quality of the water, of the sludge that can be reused. Everything is paid in function of the reusability of the byproducts, finally, of the wastewater treatment plants. The same for the green landfill. We developed the landfill in which we are doing recovery of new materials. We are also doing recovery of energy to transform and to have also biogas production. So we transform the waste and the wastewater in new byproducts, and that's a new way of doing business finally. And also, we could. I had when I developed the biofactory in Chile, I had the CFO telling me, "No, why investing so much money in sustainability? It wasn't okay to invest so much money." But finally, we emitted a green and social bond in the country in order to finance all the investments we had to do for adaptation and mitigation to climate change. And we had an incredible good surprise with this green and social bond because it was better than the classical bonds we emitted before. So finally, finance is following sustainability involvement. So I think that's really the result of what we are doing in terms of sustainability. It helps to go better and better with financial impact also that is coming. But we have to invest some years in actions before having generally this financial impact. Yeah. So we have to have the timeline available to demonstrate the value. And finally, we can attract talents thanks to sustainability because our employees are really involved in those topics, and we attract the talent motivated of doing that. And it's really the way of doing better each time and every year. So I think those are the points I wanted to focus on.
Thank you, and thank you very much. And Gilberto, I'll just, you've got a question there, but I'm going to give Yanis and Malgosia just a chance to finish off with my last 2 questions, come to Gilberto, and then we will take a break. But thank you very much. I think that's also a critical point you made there about the talent. There's been so much research and surveys, has there not, on this, of what the need is for this kind of upcoming generation in terms of the working upcoming generation and what they are driven by and what their needs are, not necessarily across the board, but a huge swathe. So thank you for that. Yanis, let me come to you. Let me come to Malgosia, and then Gilberto, you have a question there. You're very good with the examples, Yanis. 1 or 2 innovative SMEs, startups, that you would perhaps celebrate who've addressed climate and biodiversity risks in your supply chains and operations. So particularly along that, which was a question I'd asked Youssef right at the start. Anything you would pinpoint?
Well, maybe I would start with Advent, which is a highly innovative, high-temperature PEM fuel cell company, obviously in the field of hydrogen, which is a Greek company and a late NASDAQ entry. And we are working with them to develop hydrogen activities in our region so that the plant PVs will not be left alone, and there will be a perfect match for storage. However, I would also point another example for the more traditional sectors, and I would maybe highlight Diadema, which is a traditional urban waste management company, for their openness to see beyond the business as usual path. Their traditional business would be to collect urban waste. Now, what we are helping them to see is beyond that. So to give you an example, when in Greece we have almost everywhere 2 bins of separate collection, one for mixed waste and the other for all the recyclable things. Here in Western Macedonia we have already 6, which is huge compared to the maximum 8 we have seen around the world.
Okay.
And we are also in discussions with them to open up and establish a support to potential startups in this field, which is in line with what Sandra mentioned just before. So I think it's always interesting to look for the golden examples like Advent, but also try to see for diamonds in the rust, or maybe should I say in the waste.
Yeah. I love that. Diamonds in the rough. Do you know, we say diamonds in the rust. I love that. Diamonds in the rust. I thought it was diamonds in the rough. I like that. I prefer diamonds in the rust. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And I really get the impression from your spirit and your expertise that you are the man who does that. I can see, I have been told that we have more questions. So even if we go into a break, you know, at 10:40, 10:42, ladies and gentlemen, I promise you'll get a coffee break shortly, but you all seem to have woken up now with questions towards the end of my time in this first part of the round table. So let me ask the same thing for you, Malgosia, if I may, about whether you can pinpoint a couple of particularly innovative SMEs or startups that you would celebrate for their efforts, exactly as I said to Yanis there, that addressing some of these climate change and biodiversity risks along the supply chain or the operation. Who would you throw the spotlight on?
It's going to be super difficult, almost impossible, just because coming from an industry that is part of fiber-based economy and this bio-based economy, we look at not only paper, cardboard, packaging, we look at textiles, we look at bio-based chemicals, we look at variety of projects. So there is a vast majority of innovation comes from that part when we talk about substitution of fossil fuels and the production of multitude of different products. But at the same time, we're also looking at solution that Sandra already mentioned. So how to use wastewater for production of biogas, how to make better use of our waste streams, how to make sure that we utilize even better the waste from the biomass that we use. We already produce 60% of our energy from biomass, but maybe there's a way to better use it or produce even more. There's also high potential in making sure that we have on-site renewable generation. There's potential in making sure that our processes are even more energy efficient. And coming back to the fact that we have so many different mills across Europe, we need to look at different solutions for each of them that are very tailored. So last year, what we did in CEPI, we created Energy Solutions Forum. So this is our way of breaking the silos between manufacturers and those that can deliver the technology and develop something that is tailored for our needs. And we're bringing together our members, our member companies and corporates, and those that are working on technologies. And yes, my colleagues are doing a great job in collecting the ideas also from academia, because there's a lot of research being done there. But the challenge is also to make it commercial. The challenge is to make it cost effective.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. I'm not going to, there's a question coming for Sandra. This one has been on the screen. So Gilberto, you're going to have the last word. Then I'm going to let people have a break, and then we're going to see, we can put some more questions into the next round, and I'm going to ask you guys to be even more concise, because in the next round it's the same question for everybody, just because I want to keep the energy up. Not that you are not energetic, but there's a lot of content for these lovely people at home. So there we go, SmartX, can you quantify the business gains for your textile clients?
Yeah, I don't want to bother you with my sales pitch. But this is a very common question for us. So the answer is yes, we can quantify. All the fabrics that is produced when our system is there is already 100% inspected and with 0% of defects. This is our first guarantee to all our clients. What this means in terms of impacts, around 1,000 euros per month per machine. An average factory has hundreds of machines, for you to have an idea, just in financial impact. which is the most relevant in the first glance. But then we also provide a bunch of reports about performance, sustainability, impact, shift performance, employees performance, machine performance, all of that to give some insights and business intelligence to it. And also our clients use that as a marketing tool as well for their clients. Like, look, my materials are 100% inspected and with 0% of defect. We are very technology advanced. So there is also this impact in terms of the marketing. And I guess this is enough for the sales pitch of today. But yeah, the general answer is yes, we can quantify, and we should quantify. I guess all the startups or all the companies that are working in the sustainability world need to quantify that. Otherwise, we will be selling something very difficult to
intangible.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you, and thank you for that key message. Before we take a break, Sandra, you'll be able to see the question coming in. Perhaps the ladies will post it in the private chat so you can have a look at that. But I'd like to give you all a break. I'd like to give you a break for longer than 10 minutes. Just sounds really funny, sort of 13, 14, just because there's a lot of content coming the way of our audience. I'd like to give you, ladies and gentlemen, a break. So it's 10:41. So if we perhaps convene back at 10:55, if I have the blessing of the organisers, then we will gain time along the way so that we close at 12 or just after. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say don't go far. 10:55, get right back here. We are going to put the focus on achieving sustainability for your business. We're going to look at tackling the hurdles to it, enhancing operations, the benefits for corporates, some more on the valuable partners in the co-creation process. Find out all the answers at 10:55. And while you take a break, please do tweet #GHG emissions. See you very shortly. Thank you. Thank you to our lovely speakers. See you again soon. So, ladies and gentlemen, look, I was just doing my hair there as I came flying onto the screen. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome if you're coming for the first time to the launch of this fabulous EIC GHG programme. If you're joining now, you've missed some brilliant content, but you're joining at a perfect time to listen to some more brilliant content. We're going to pick up immediately where we left off with the second part of a roundtable with the same fantastic 5 speakers who we had in the first part. Just a quick reminder, if after a 15-minute break it's gone out of your head, in the first part we talked strategies, impact, partnership, trends from EIC funded startups, from industrial associations, from a regional specialist who is looking after a cluster. So we've got some brilliant stories. This time we are going to focus even more on achieving sustainability for your business. So looking at some of the solutions out there to tackle hurdles in terms of enhancing operations, benefits for corporates, valuable partners, all sorts of other issues. And I'm going to be putting the same 3 questions to my 5 speakers this time around for their short, sharp brain box bingo responses. Before I invite them back to join me on the screen, can I please ask you, our lovely audience at home, to take part in another poll? So let's have a look what's coming up for you now. Please get busy, get ready. It's poll time. I love that. Would you accept the challenge to reduce your GHG emissions by 10% within 1 year's time? That's it, 1 year's time. If you think about everything you've heard, all of those examples, all of that advice, could you accept that challenge? Do you think it's achievable for your business? Or if you don't have one, for a business that you envisage or that you're shortly going to be a part of? What do you think? 10% within 1 year time. Do you think you've got the tools and the advice at your disposal, particularly when you hear about this new programme? What do you think? Are you ready for it? Not now, give me a little bit of time. I need to reflect, I need to get there, I'm not sure. Maybe a little later next year. Yes, there's a lot of people who are ready for it. They're all, yeah, not now, maybe next year. No, that feels like a bit of a big challenge. To fewer people than it feels like an interesting challenge to take on now. Yep. We've got somebody, I love it. It looks like you're all literally running across digitally into the same little space. It looks like a particularly crowded party there on the left of the screen for me. Yes, I'm ready for it. And half, well, less than half of that, not now, maybe next year. So I hope the reason for the yeses is because you're all just so tremendously enthused by the brilliance that you've heard from our assortment of speakers. You've got a few more naysayers now. If you need a little bit more time, that feels like a bit of a big challenge. Let's see if the last one to come in now. Is it going to be a yes? Is it going to be a not now? We're waiting for one more. Go on. Who's in the audience who could take part in this poll? Everybody's too shy. Oh, not now. Okay, well, all right then. Well, you know where you need to go for more advice, more enthusiasm, more ways to work your way through that jungle that we heard from Carbon Clean there in the first part of the roundtable. So we can clear the poll now. And I'd like to ask my lovely, lovely speakers to join me again, please, on screen. I hope they're refreshed and refueled by coffee. Personally, I had a praline from Neuhaus, so that was my refueling. So when you're ready, ladies and gentlemen, do please switch on your cameras. I'd love to see you all. Don't leave me alone here chatting away. And don't forget our audience at home. You can, of course, ask questions. Just keep them short and sweet and say to whom they're addressed, and I will get to them. Hello, are you refueled? Are you refreshed? Yeah, air to the brain and all that. Okay, so we have a question. I don't know what that question is for Sandra. Why don't we just tie that off, and then I'm going to come to you again, as I call it. I love it, this brain box bingo round, where I'm going to ask all of you for an answer to the same 3 questions for your punchiest responses. There we go. Sandra from Suez. Are biogas waste plants of interest, combining with circular agriculture?
Yes, for sure. We are working more and more on organic waste because European legislation will change in 2025, and we are already anticipating that. So we are working in identifying the right technologies for biogas production from organic waste. And we already have done some trials in the next to Lyon in France region with some small scale biogas production from organic waste. But yes, we are looking for other technologies, and combining with circular agriculture is of interest. We are already working quite a lot with composting right now, but now we are evolving to the biogas production also. Thank you.
Thank you. And before we move on, let me just ask you, out of courtesy, was there anything that any of you wanted? You said, Kat, I goddamn didn't manage to say that in the first part, or anything you wanted to comment on or say or ask of your fellow speaker? The time is now. Anything? Yes, hello.
Yes, just a question, because we already talked what industry would need from innovators, but what do innovators need from the industry? That's my question.
Okay, so for all of you out there, what do innovators need from industry? And for those on the panel, what would you answer to that? Go ahead, Gilberto. Thank you.
So in the industry, we find lots of different profiles of people, but we need to immediately divide them in categories. There is an amazing book for startup for entrepreneurs called Crossing the Chasm that explains this very well, which are 5 types of people. And the first ones are the early adopters, the technology enthusiasts, that we need to find these guys in the companies. Sometimes the big corporation have 2 or 3 of these folks there. We need to find these. Then there is another category, which is the early adopters, the people that are the first ones buying the iPhone, the first ones probably buying a Tesla car. Then there are the majorities, which are the ones that just adopt something when they see everyone using it. And then there are the late majorities and the laggards, which is like my grandmother that just installed Facebook last week. Because now she has a pain not having Facebook. So this is what drives my grandmother to adopt technology, is having a pain not having it. So from the industry, many industries have a bunch of laggards and a bunch of majority people. However, we still need to find who are the technology enthusiasts there and the early adopters and kill it over there. Grab those guys, because then they push the technology to the rest of the company.
Thank you. I love it. And kill it is your thing. And just, ladies and gentlemen, he doesn't actually mean that. So don't go away and think that that is not what he's suggesting. There is no kind of assassination attempt. Before I move on with my first question, and just out of, well, because that's how I am today, I'll come back to you. Gilberto, Yanis, let me just ask, listen, you are the gentleman who has this love of, I think, and this skill of bringing all of these different kinds of collaborators together, whether it's from industry, whether it's from research, academia, you know, the whole shebang. What do you think innovators most need from industry, if you had to pinpoint one thing?
Well, then I would say that they need industry to talk to them. It's very simple. Normally, a big industry won't do it, won't open up to anyone, won't disclose even information. So what they want from them is to learn some things. I would, of course, flatter ourselves to say that clusters do tend to play that role, or any intermediate organization, because they are not actually disclosing information. However, they are pinpointing and they are giving the direction to where the industry might go, and then the innovators could easily or more easy match to the industry.
Thank you very much. And I lied. I'm not going to start with Gilberto because everybody has spoken but Eberhard. And I'm going to start with him this time around. And let's have a look. We've got 3 questions, as I said, for you. And some of them are around misconceptions, some are around hurdles, and some is about what it's really important for small business owners to keep in mind when it comes to sustainability in their business practices. But first of all, to you, Eberhard, and then to everyone, what are 2 or 3 common misconceptions that perhaps small business owners might have about sustainability related to their operations? What might put them off? What might just be wrong thinking? He's so keen. He's not going to kill you, Eberhard, but he is going to let you go first. Go on. Look, I love it. I love it. Enthusiasm. This is what it's all about. Eberhard, yes. What are those misperceptions?
Well, a typical misconception is that renewable energy will solely be the answer to the transformation into a net zero, right? However, the majority will not be able to reach those targets or achieve this net zero through this way. So there is a need of diversification in the adoption of different strategies to get through that, right? So one of them is, of course, in our thinking, carbon capture. And another misconception that we also see is that CO2 is a waste product. Yes, currently CO2 emissions represent a problem, but the ability of an industrial player to turn those emissions, those CO2 emissions, into a circular carbon economy is something not always really fully understood, the potential that it will have and the economic factor that will play in the following 10 to 15 years, making a market worldwide that it is already calculated to be above $1 trillion.
Okay, so I think it's also a reframing of the actual semantics, is it not? When you're talking about, I think that's what's important to you, seeing it as a resource. So it's also a reframing. I'm not going to say who comes next. I think Youssef, who wants to answer the question? Building on that, and keep it lovely and short, please, ladies and gentlemen. What's a common misperception that a business owner might have about sustainability? Who wants to say yes? Best kid in school, top row.
Yeah, many business owners don't quite understand what sustainability really is. Some of them use it as a piece of marketing to put in their websites. Okay, I would say that's the first big misconception that I find in the industry. I heard many times things like, "Yeah, I know that's waste, but if my client don't get the waste, if he doesn't detect the wastes, and it will be wasted sooner or later in the chain, but not here in my house, I don't care." So there is still these misconceptions in the archaic industries such as textiles, but I also heard these ones also in paper industries, metal industries, and other ones that I've been talking with. So I would say this is the number one concern for me when we try to push the sustainability argument to the table.
Okay. Talking paper, let's come to you, Malgosia. What would you say?
First, I'd say that I won't talk about sustainability, because when we talk within our membership, we already feel like we're embracing that journey, from the sustainable forest management to producing bio-based and renewable products to working on reducing our emissions constantly. But when it comes to innovation, I think that the biggest misconception is how you can talk with other companies and other members of our sector about innovation, and how much information you can reveal and how much experience you can share. So this is something that we recognized last year, and we asked actually a law firm to write for us specific competition law guidelines to talk about how we can talk about innovation within our membership and with our members to facilitate this experience sharing. And this is something that I think late last year or at the beginning of this year, we shared with our members to facilitate the knowledge sharing, because there is a lot of experience within the industry, and this is something that we can learn from each other and we can share.
Okay, thank you. That's very interesting to sort of get a feel for what their concerns are or what's creating obstacles, and then find a solution to being able to overcome that and create some reassurance there and a framework effectively. Yannis, what about you?
Well, I could maybe talk from the point of view of the regions and their misconception of sustainability. And maybe one major issue for them is the traditional understanding of sustainability as a purely economic procedure. not taking into account, or at least underestimating, the environmental and social aspects of sustainability. To give you an example, again, for our own region, we had this lignite power production that peak time. It used to cover up to 60% of the total country's electricity.
Wow.
And now all of them will be decommissioned by 2023, which is literally today, if not tomorrow. So this is a huge challenge, but at the same time, I think it's a unique opportunity to change our own development model. And in this aspect, we as Glube, together, of course, with our members and many stakeholders, we are pushing towards bioeconomy and environmental aspects, because we want to drive the environment and the social problems, the social employment and everything all together in the sustainability form as they are.
Yeah, and so critical as well, not least because we've got that as a big aspect of the European Green Deal, this issue of the just transition, but also, of course, making changes meaningful to people, making that environmental change. Why is it important to me? Also, what can I get out of it? What is important within that social context? And making sure, I think that, I know it's a very used phrase, but nobody gets left behind. So very interesting for you to put that balance there between the economic, the environmental and the social. I'm going to move to our next question now, which is, again, hurdles too. So we talked about perhaps misperceptions. Perhaps now hurdles, moving from the awareness, the misperception, to then, okay, I'm kind of on board for this, but there's a hurdle there. We talked about the trickiness of scale-ups with Youssef, of the scaling up aspect. How can different partners also help to overcome these obstacles? So if you had to encapsulate that, I know we're driving home within the programme this issue of partnership, collaboration, co-creation. Who wants to start? I don't mind. What are the hurdles? Just one biggest hurdle, and how can different partners help to overcome a hurdle? Who would like to? Sandra, did I ask your question about a misperception?
No, don't worry, but I can begin by my misconception and talk about hurdles.
Go on, go for it. Thank you. Sorry. It's because I'd asked you that outstanding question at the beginning. Go ahead.
No, don't worry. In terms of misconceptions, generally, sustainability is seen as a charity on environmental and social aspects. And this is a hurdle we have to tackle with, because generally when we take our plans and we look for positive social and environmental impact, we are not just giving money to people around the plant. It's no more the way we are doing sustainable development of the business. For example, we are working with local communities to transform them in providers. So we've done that in different places around the wastewater plants we have, or the landfills we have, to create finally business and to transform communities in providers of the plants locally. We work with social economy specialists to work to recruit also people for us. And in terms of environment, we are also working on how our plants or our assets can have a positive impact on biodiversity. So coming from the business to the global impact on biodiversity. So, for example, we created in a ground we had in a wastewater plant a lake, so that in that lake we have some protected species that are here in the ground of the wastewater treatment plant. So those are examples, and we are doing. We are training the employees to have a specific matter about seeing biodiversity 20 minutes each day to really see what are the birds coming, and to have a participation like an employee engagement. So generally a misunderstanding is generally also to sell that sustainability is external to the company, but finally not at all. And we begin by our own employees involved in for example, biodiversity follow-up. So it's beginning from inside and also integrate outside in the inside. So it's I think it's the hurdle is generally this one, because we have to put more energy to do that than just forget about it and let other people do things for us. So it's really an internal involvement to go ahead with this type of initiatives.
Well, it's a very holistic approach. It really is the best, I think, word to use. And just before I move on to whoever wants to come into this question about hurdles next, to say what I find interesting is obviously it's important, Yanis raised it there about the social aspect, and you talked again, is of course sometimes I hear a frustration from those who might be direct beneficiaries, for want of a better, I mean, yeah, let's just say direct beneficiaries. Come on, we need to be involved in this process from the outset. Don't think you know what's important, or don't dictate, or there is a problem. We talked about there's a problem or there's a pain point. We're on the ground. We can give our insights. Don't just sort of shove something upon us. And I think that's also critical, to get the right people around the table at the right time, and not to forget the localization aspect of all of this, no? I spoke very, very fast there, and then I went no, and then you nodded, and now I feel like a headmistress. I was just adding my 2 pennies. Thank you. Who would like to come in? One of the hurdles, just one of the biggest hurdles to sustainability. How can that partnering aspect help? Okay, Malgosia, and then I come to Gilberto.
Well, I wouldn't be a public affairs professional if I didn't say regulation and legislation. So on our side, I think that we're quite progressive with our CEOs and their initiative outlining how we can contribute better to climate neutrality and circular economy, bio-based economy. But what we also try to outline is what we need from the regulation so that our industry can reach the full potential, and we can all benefit from what we bring to the table when it comes to renewable products, when it comes to yes, also sustainable forest management. We need this regulation to, first of all, so that it's stable. So we know that we have a business case, that we are protected against carbon leakage. We need a regulation to make sure that the energy that we use from the system is still clean and affordable. And we also need regulation to make sure that the investments, like we have access to financing, that there are de-risking instruments, that there is funding from the European Union through programs like this, but also for bigger scale, like demo projects and pilot projects.
Yeah.
So yes, in one word, is legislation that seems to be the hurdle right now.
And it's very, and I know it's very, very interesting for your sector, because you are really at that confluence of so many overlapping regulations. And I think what I hear from you is that call for coherence. What can be sometimes challenging is also the coherence, and also sort of visibility, making very clear about the needs. As you say, there is a lot of SMEs in there, and it's not a homogeneous lump. So that is complex with the various overlapping and intersecting legislation. Eberhard, you were nodding there when she was saying, yes, we need that stability, we need that clarity.
Yes, I concede with Malgosia as well. Legislations represent to the industrial players in all the chain of supply a big issue, and also for solution providers. So we need to find a way to have this acceleration program and understand how regulations could actually help the industry to go into this direction. But one additional big hurdle that I see is that regional focus. Many industries are not aware of their industrial neighbors and the potential of partnership and sharing those utilities, recycling streams, maybe even recycling CO2 between them. And like we say, right, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So the responsibles of the sustainability departments in this heavy industry should also look for regional partnerships and the potential demand it could have to turn their CO2 emissions into a product. And this is where we are very, very focused on actively looking for partners to create a much more comprehensive solution to our clients, where not only CO2 is captured, but also what can we do with this molecule?
Yeah. Really interesting. And I want to come to you, Gilberto, but that obviously leads me to come to Yanis there. I guess what you hear there is kind of music to your ears too. It's something that you would obviously echo and tell me. And also if there's Kat, if you want to say, right, for me, the biggest hurdle to sustainability, or where, different partners can help, is here.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with what Eberhard said, because I mentioned before, by the way, we built this platform, material matchmaking platform, where exactly one company's waste is another company's input. So yes, definitely on that. Maybe I could add the dimension of funding, which was slightly raised by Malgosia, but I would say that this is important. we need to secure that funding is available, because sustainability comes with a cost. And obviously, maybe a second parameter would be understanding the problem. So we have to work deeper to understand, and even at regional scale, as it was mentioned already. And for that, I would say that exactly part of your question, the different partners, bringing them together. This is exactly what we do as a cluster, because we do believe that bringing everybody from different perspectives, different angles in the game around the table, and making them discuss and connect to each other helps a lot. Using this 360 perspective, I think Sandra mentioned it before. This 360 perspective is absolutely necessary to understand not only the problem, but also understand each other. And we need to speak to each other, that's for sure. And of course, some nice food and alcohol always helps. And
I was about to ask you, you know, when you've got somebody who's particularly grumpy or wary or nervous or obstructive, what's the best lubricant? Is it the alcohol? Is it the chocolate? Is it, you obviously can't give bags of cash, I acknowledge that, but yeah, as you say, you're creating some kind of convivial where everyone can unpack their own perspectives.
Exactly. I would say alcohol is a bit higher than food, but definitely all together.
Is it? So just quickly, before I go to Gilberto, do you has that been more tricky with COVID and being able to less get physically in the same room?
Absolutely. Yeah. Even with our members, with our own members, it's very difficult to push things forward. And even if you can meet one by one, maybe in an open place, you cannot get this gather around the same table all together. That's what we are mostly missing. And that's what we're missing today as well, because we could, afterwards go out and have some drinks and discuss among each other, because obviously we cannot have this interaction among the speakers and also with the audience the way it's done now. It is, I mean, you're doing your best, and thank you for that, but it's not as the real thing.
Oh God, that's so depressing what you just said to me. It's like you're doing your best, but no. Thank you. That's the kind of thing the English would say in that lovely way. With all due respect, it's awful. No, I'm kidding. That's raise me up, slam me down. Okay, Gilberto, it's over to you. Then I have a last question for everybody, and we have a question that's come in from the audience for Malgosia and one for Sandra. So let's keep it lovely and pet. Hurdles. Right. Hurdles. How do you kill those hurdles with partnership, Gilberto? How do you kill them?
We talked about lots of hurdles here, and I agree with all of them. I guess the number one that we didn't discuss in detail is, despite the solutions you present to industries and corporations and governments needs to be sustainable, and with all of these things that we have been talking about, first they need to be profitable, or they need to create benefits, not just for charity, as Sandra mentioned. This is the main hurdle that we have when we are trying to penetrate an industry. Like Youssef was saying, many times I look like an angry, how did he say?
Angry activist. Angry activist.
Exactly. Because, gosh, I'm giving you a solution to save money, to save resources, to be more technology advanced, more sustainable. But people need to see the actual financial benefit first, and only then sustainability comes in second place. That is the number one pain that we feel. And then regarding funding, we see that it's helping a lot companies to absorb more sustainable technologies. So that's, of course, a pain, but we are going in the right direction, I would say.
Okay, thank you. And thank you again for reiterating, don't focus so much on your solution, your technology, unless you can really understand your customer and the pain point and sell it. It's got to be knitted together. It's got to start from that end of things. Yeah.
They are the ones that rule your business. They are your boss. They are the ones that can fire everyone in your organization, starting with the CEO. Your customers.
I can't see anyone as being your boss, Gilberto, but anyway, in a good way. That's in a compliment way. So I come to the last. Lovely and concise, please, ladies and gentlemen. So anything we've missed, if somebody thinks, I'm not really, it's not that important for me to consider sustainability in my business practices, I'll leave it to the others. not that interesting, too costly, not for me. If you had to sit them down in front of you and say, and I literally mean bullet points, there's this 2 or 3 important benefits you might not have thought about, but this is the gain, what would those benefits be? Who wants to start? Nobody, because nobody thinks there are any benefits. Eberhard, off you go.
No, I think, there's this is a very interesting question indeed. Consumers, and I'm personally impressed as well by the younger generations. I mean, here we have a perfect example with Gilberto as well. Take actions and demanding also actions and corporate social responsibility from all the chain of supply. And this also includes, in some cases, the small business owners. So we need to face that this is a reality, that each one of us has the power to be sustainable, and that change will be accelerated only when we all pull together in the same direction. So when business owners fully adopt this philosophy, 3 main benefits will become apparently from our point of view. So on one side, they will secure their business into what I call that future next generation of industry. On the second is the optimization of that carbon footprint, which will play a crucial role in what we call the carbon capture and utilization or recycling of the CO2. And on the third point will be to discover new ways to be profitable and sustainable at the same time, which will be much more robust and dependent against economic crisis or price fluctuation of certain feedstocks, chemicals, and in general also fuel.
Thank you very much. Okay, who is next? Who wants to? How would you convince someone in front of you who might be a bit of a skeptic? Malgosia, yes.
I think that I would need to echo what Eberhard said, in the sense that if someone is scared of making their business more sustainable for any reason, or they're allergic to the word sustainability, just think about your process optimization, because that goes hand in hand. You need to go back to the drawing board and see, like, this is how much energy we're using right now. This is the energy that we're buying right now or producing ourselves, and where we can optimize the process to use less energy, how we can switch to different energies, what's the cost of doing it ourselves, what's the cost of buying it like biogas from the plant next door. And in this process, we're going to see that it's money that you can save on your business while giving more added value to your customers and clients with a product that it's renewable, which has a lower carbon footprint.
Thank you. And I think that's interesting. You added a good phrase there, obviously cost saving, added value. And as Eberhard said, there is demand. There is the demand there. It is a coming together, and it is a response to that demand. Who would like to go next? Sandra? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so what benefit would you say particularly to somebody who might be a bit skeptical or a bit fearful, perhaps?
Yeah, it's really a new way of doing business with differentiating offers, new offers that we are really developing. Those offers with positive impact are new offers. So it's a new way of doing business, a new positioning. We can access also, as I was telling, to financing of the capex we need for the important sustainable investment that we need. So it's really a way of doing business. And overall, it's an image and reputation also issue to attract talents. So being sustainable allows to attract talents involved in sustainability and to maintain them in the company. And it also helps clients who are really involved in sustainability to maintain those clients and to have some promoters of our company. So working on sustainability changes the game. It's not only the cheapest solution, it's a sustainable solution that the client is choosing. It's a sustainable company that the employee is choosing. So I think this is changing the way of doing business and changing the client's portfolio we have, changing the employees we have, and we are really, it's the way we will do the business in the future, and we are doing the business right now already with many students. Yeah.
Thank you. And just to say, by the way, I love that story you told about also raising awareness, raising responsibility, ownership among your employees. I think when you were talking about turning the wastewater into a lake and having them go there and have a look and have a reflection, that was such a delightful such a delightful example. Really, really lovely. Yanis, you're the man who can get people with or without alcohol to come on board. So for those who might be a bit skeptical, what would you say?
Well, I would build on what Sandra said, and I would say that this is very interesting, not only from the business perspective, but also from a region's perspective. It's very nice to go along and provide a more attractive environment for business, for innovators, for everybody to come and work and live in. And that's a main issue for regions. Which is directly associated to the brain gain as opposed to brain drain that we are experiencing in some of our regions. I hate to talk about our own region, but we are unfortunately the champion of youth unemployment in the whole Europe. So yes, we are, as you said, ups and downs. But we are fighting against it, and we are trying to provide some more attractiveness to the area. And after all, it's about adaptation and survival. I mean, Darwin said it a long time ago: if you don't adapt, there's no future.
Yeah, that's great. I don't know. I've never heard that expression, brain gain. Perhaps it's lovely and it's very true. Mine. And it echoes. Is it yours? Is that why I've never heard it? Because we haven't met before. May I use it myself going forwards as a moderator?
Absolutely. Just mention me and. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I will mention you. I am going to call you Cluster King from now on. And I like that. I like the fact that you reinforced in a different way, in a much more regional way, attracting talent, attracting people, keeping them interested, bringing all of their different talents. It's exactly as Sandra had also spoken of in terms of Suez there. So Gilberto, I'm coming to you, and then you see this question that's come in from Pedro Carrero. So what about you? You must be very good at convincing people of the benefits.
I try to think so, especially when I'm in front of like textile business owners that are used to bargain for cents and fight each other. Textile industry is very well known because a t-shirt costs €2 before going to the fashion store, and then the brand puts like 20 times more the price on it in the shop. So the price of the t-shirts is like 70% for the brand, and the rest divided by the yarn supplier, the agricultures, the factories. So everyone fights for cents here. It's a very particular one. So when I'm in front of these folks that are used to fight for cents, it's quite a challenge to convince them towards the argument of sustainability. Of course, it's possible, but without the profitable part, it is, I would say, possible in most of our cases. So we usually try to pick the profitable part first and the efficiency part first, and then put other arguments in terms of sustainability, like the marketing that they can generate with that, the fashion brands that are pushing for that more and more, convince them that they will stay behind others if they don't adopt these technologies early on. Also, sometimes talking a little bit about grants and the grant applications that have it's more easy to apply for such a technology that has sustainability arguments. So we try to go around these arguments. But again, in our specific industry, we need to be profitable first, create impact, financial impact first, and then the sustainability is still a nice to have.
Okay, thank you. And just to say, Sandra, if I will come to you and then Malgosia, or the other way around, nice concise answer there, please, to that question. I did have the great privilege a few autumns back, Gilberto, of moderating an event which profiled some family Portuguese textile companies that, with the help of European social funding, so from the social fund with the European Commission and with the Portuguese government, had done a real turnaround, because there was an absolute decline, wasn't there? And they had done it was a huge success story. It was fantastic, who again were moving forward in the ways I think that you would say is perhaps not typical of the industry as a whole. So there has been some success stories, but very interesting. And I think it's important to be very clear and transparent. Listen, Kat, if the profitability aspect isn't right, we can't, and the efficiency, then we can't sell the rest, we can't do the rest. Sandra, Malgosia, can you just very concisely answer, please, for me, that question that's coming from Pedro, if I might ask?
Yeah, maybe I can begin. The biological organic sludge is generally recovered and used in agriculture. So we have a lot of sludge recovery to agriculture. And we, for example, developed last year a blockchain application so that we really follow up the dryness, the quality aspects of the sludge to be sure that the agriculture utilization is very useful for the agricultural sector, and we really track everything that is done with the valorization of this sludge. There are also other technologies that allow to have a higher dryness of the sludge, and it can be used, for example, to produce energy in the cement industry. So in another country, we, for example, developed that to produce. The sludge is used as production of energy for the cement industry. So this type of valorization are existing, and also composting. That's right, that biogas and composting are not always profitable, and we have to find the right business case to develop that. But in some cases it is, and the clients are really want us to develop that. So we try always to find a way to make it profitable and to really develop it. And we see that more and more the biogas production is evolving and coming up. In wastewater treatment and also for the organic waste treatment. So I think it will come. And yes, financing of new technologies is needed, maybe to try disruptive technologies right now. But we already have a lot of experience in landfill and also in wastewater treatment to produce biogas in an efficient way and with rentability or profitability associated.
Thank you. Anything from you, Malgosia?
Yeah, I think it would go in the same direction. I mean, in the pulp and paper industry, producing biogas through wastewater treatment is something new. The potential is certainly there, but still it needs to be, we're going back to the same issue. It needs to be profitable. In our industry, we are still using across the line, it's 33% natural gas. And for the time being, it is an investment on our side to produce more biogas and wastewater treatment. And recently, the European Biogas Association actually produced a paper showing that there is potential in the pulp industry to produce more biogas to also use it on site for our production.
Okay, thank you. Yes, you are the obvious person also to come in here, Yannis, please.
Yeah, if I may add that we are right now in the process of developing, not yet started, but we are about to develop reforming of biogas to hydrogen. So from sewage sludge to obtain hydrogen, and that might be, the higher added value that Sandra also mentioned.
So finally, you've got to complete a sentence, and I mean half a sentence, because I've taken up so much of your time in it, and it's been so valuable to have you with us, and I really thank you all for committing to this event today. If you had to say, let's say, if we need to think about what sustainability means in this next decade, it might be a new way. If you had to think about it as an object or an animal, how do we see it? Look, Malgosia is going to stop asking that stupid question. I'm just can't go there. How do we need to see it? What is it? Or how do we need to think about it? You can complete a sentence. Sustainability for me in the next decade is...
Maybe I'm going to recycle my idea, because recently we were asked to think about the energy transition and climate neutrality and compare it to a sport. And maybe I'm going to recycle my own idea.
Go on, it's got to be quick. It's got to be literally 10 seconds, everybody.
Triathlon as a sport, because it's quite long. It engages different body parts and muscles, and you need a team and equipment to make it happen. And I think that the transition and sustainability would look like this to me. Yeah.
Very good. Who else? Sport, object, animal. Come on. Brain box bingo. Gilberto, yes.
Object right now is a flag. In the future, I hope it becomes a tool, like to mine something that you cannot work without it.
Okay, nice. Who else? Thank you. Yannis, yes.
So human, I would say, and it's my new lover. I hope my wife is not watching, but it's definitely my my new lover for the decade to come.
Okay. And the flies are your other lover, but we know that already.
It's a weird mix.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I like that. Yes, Sandra.
Yeah, I would talk about a butterfly. We have to transform the organizations towards sustainability, like a butterfly is transforming itself.
Yeah, that's lovely.
I think Sandra stole also that. For me, I thought also butterfly. We are in a cocoon right now, and we need to transform ourselves into that beautiful industry that it is coming the next decades.
Thank you. And it is a lovely image because it's colourful and it's light and it's free and it's and spacious and green, and absolutely. So thank you so much, everybody. And I think on behalf of our audience who are going to be able to break for lunch in about 25 minutes, a warm and heartfelt thanks for being with us and trying to recreate in a digital environment what we are missing being able to do physically. So you are all brilliant and you've answered the questions impeccably and given us so much to take home. So you're allowed to switch off your cameras and relax behind the screen as I will shortly tail off with 2 last sessions and bring our event to a close. So thank you, Eberhard, Sandra, Yanis, Malgosia, and Gilberto. You were fabulous. Bye-bye. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got 2 short sessions. Stick with us because this one you really don't want to miss. And the end is a lovely short, sharp roundup with 2 gentlemen, one of whom is Youssef. Youssef, just to nail home those last messages and perhaps anything that from those experts at the end hasn't been said or heard. So just stick with us. I promise you can eat a sandwich or a 5-course meal very shortly. This one you must listen to because I think the question on everybody's lips with this new programme might be, what's in it for me? And I said at the beginning, we were going to walk and talk you round this. So we are going to have a concise and comprehensive overview delivered by Head of Business Acceleration Services at the European Innovation Council. And her name is Agnieszka Stasiakowska. So I can ask Agnieszka to please switch on her camera. Hello, how lovely of you to join us. Thank you. And thank you for your patience for coming right at the end of this. You sit at this lovely intersection of business and policy and innovation, creating the business acceleration services for the EIC. And I think what's really useful for people to know before I let you just deliver this walk and talk is that you really do know how to bring innovations from lab to market and all sorts of impact analysis from the institutions and the private sector. So you are a specialist, I would say, in growing the next unicorns in Europe. I think that's a nice way to probably describe you. So tell us more about the ins and outs. What's in it for people who are part of this programme?
Good morning. Yes, good morning, Katrina. We can still say good morning, and good morning to everyone who is actually listening to this very interesting event. I was really amazed by the panelists and the discussions before. Really interesting. So indeed, we heard a lot about how sustainability can be profitable. How can the businesses grow and take on it, while at the same time helping the planet and our global future, no? Yeah. So indeed, what we do in EIC, we're growing unicorns. We could say that. So we are a unicorn company, but not only. What we are trying to do is also to and now with this greenhouse gas program, to contribute even more to the objective of the European Commission to have a greener future, less of the carbon footprint done by Europe and the whole world. So this is our small but very important contribution to this major goal.
And let me just say, hold it for a second, ladies and gentlemen, if you have 1 or 2 questions here for Agnieszka, I can create some space should you have it. I forgot to say that. Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you there.
Yes, perfect. Of course, please go ahead. Maybe I will just directly go to what I actually have to say, and everyone is waiting for. So what this program is actually about. If I can go directly to the next slide, please. So yes, what's our 3 main goals here is, first of all, to help the companies that we have already financed, and there are around 5,000 of those companies financed since 2014, so quite a lot. We want to help them in reducing their greenhouse gas emissions. Because we believe that these are the companies that are focusing now on innovations, on growing their businesses, but we can at the same time focus on the future of the planet, and this is how we want to help them to go this path. What we also want to do, and that's, let's say, the second pillar of this program, is to help co-create and invent new products and new services that can help to reduce the carbon footprint of others. So these are, let's say, the main 2 elements of the program. And then, of course, we also want to monitor how this reduction of greenhouse gas of the SME is going on. As far as I know, we are the first public funding program that is launching this kind of initiative towards its beneficiaries. So we want to learn from it, also for the benefit maybe of other innovation agencies in Europe and around the world, whether it worked, what could we learn from it, how can we make it better. And to realize those 3 main goals, we have designed 3 main services. So first of all, access to experts for the companies on how to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions, co-creations and events and working group events to produce new product, and we also have a dedicated IT tool to support these activities. If I can have a next slide. So we will start with what do we want to do with those co-creation activities. So first of all, we would like, it's about the co-creation with business partners. So between the EIC beneficiaries and the challenges that will be put forward by the business partners. So corporates, regions, and industrial associations like SEPI that was participated in a panel just before. Suez, these are our first partners with whom we will engage. So they put up the greenhouse gas reductions challenges ahead, and together with the EIC beneficiaries, we will be able to co-create together the solutions to those challenges. But we also believe in this peer-to-peer co-creation and networking and learning. This is something we are very fond of in the EIC. So we also plan some of those co-creation activities between the peers, so between the SMEs around the major market gaps that are there in the sustainability topic. And then, of course, different webinars and also groups within our EIC community. We have an online platform for this, where the beneficiaries will be able to exchange, but also learn from the experts on how to further reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. Next slide. And we have dedicated tools for this. So we are now in a beta testing version of a tool that will help the companies to first simulate their greenhouse gas emissions, so evaluate their carbon footprint, the current one, and then the tool will also suggest some mitigations measures for this. Then the SME will be able to choose and will be able to see how does this will lead them to a major goal of reducing greenhouse gas emissions, what will be the costs of these mitigation measures. So a complete tool that will allow the company to focus the strategy and also calibrate and calculate what they could actually do. So this is in a beta version, and a call for any companies that are there in a public. Please, if you would like to help us to test this tool, please get in contact with us. We would be very thankful for this collaboration. And we also preparing some other tools that will help the companies to follow up on the co-creation process, on partnerships with partners. Next slide. Yes, access to experts. So as I said, that's one of the major mechanisms we have here in the program. So besides the tool, we will also deploy experts that will help companies to set up a strategy on how to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. It is on demand and continuously, so they can just pop up a question, or they can schedule a call with an expert to receive those this help. And we also provide expert advice on building the partnerships. And throughout the co-creation process, that could be very technical advice, but that could be more generic about a business strategy. So different levels of support here. Next slide. And now it's about our service calendar. So we are actually in May, we will launch a lot of activities. So it's a busy schedule that is ahead us before the summer. So we actually started the whole program with launching a first initial survey about our beneficiaries to see also what is their interest in reducing the greenhouse gas, but also engaging in this peer co-creation. So thanks to that, we could already organize our first working groups, but this calls, the surveys will be repeated continuously. So the next one is to be launched in October. And then we foreseen for June and September a series of workshops, webinars, concentrating on how company can reduce its greenhouse gas emissions, from more generic one about the introduction towards it and introduction to our tool that will be launched in June, greenhouse gas emission reduction tool. But also webinars, sectorial ones. So how to do it in a specific sectors, manufacturing or even an IT. You see, an IT companies, they can also benefit, contribute to reducing their greenhouse gas emissions. Next slide, and here we go more towards the first co-creation events that we will be actually launching. Again, here the application will be published in May. For first of those, so we have a first co-creation kickoff with SEPI, so with the Association of the Paper Industry, with Suez, with Stara Zagora region in Bulgaria, so with our business partners, and then also a first co-creation coming with the peer-to-peer companies. And then my last slide is on how to actually the EIC beneficiaries can apply. Very easy. You need to go to our EIC community, and all the information is there. Please update your profile. Like this, you can receive the constant updates and notifications about the latest events. There's also an EIC newsletter and a social media where we will promote the applications and invitations. So I welcome everyone to get started with the greenhouse gas program. Have a look on our latest events, and I invite you all warmly to apply and benefit from it.
Thank you. I will echo your written words there and say thank you too. That's very, very comprehensive. And I had to put my glasses on at a moment. It's not vanity. I just forget to do it just because I was squinting there at at the words on the PowerPoint. Very customized, very tailored, lots of real accompaniment in the process in all sorts of different ways. That is clear. Thank you for that schedule looking forward. Very helpful. A couple of questions have come in. There's the first one. Is it about solutions substituting state-of-the-art products or services for others with a lower footprint, or just
Exactly.
for greenhouse gas emissions? Yeah, so
it's both. So it's about well, reducing the greenhouse gas emissions of our companies as institutions, as organisms, and then also about producing new solutions for the other to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. No, so that could be, of course, everything related to energy saving, water saving, everything that goes along the value chain and a life cycle of different products. So yes, this is about new solutions for any type of greenhouse gas reduction, not only within our beneficiaries, but even more about for the others, for potential business partners.
I think we have another question. Yeah, there we go. Huh. That's what he has taken away very, very much, that the main purpose, is it the main purpose, or is it just one of the very compelling elements, or is that the main sort of ambition?
Yeah, so well, networking is a way of doing business, and so this is totally the part of our program. But the main goal is really the reduction of the emissions within the beneficiaries, and we have a target here. First starting target is that in the first year we want to have a reduction of 5% of those that will participate in the program, and then also those new products, new solutions, new innovations that will come out of this co-creation event. So networking, yes, but this is just a mean towards the more, let's say, hardcore goals that we want to achieve here.
Absolutely, networking with a purpose. And also, as we heard from Youssef at the beginning, it's about putting people in the same sector so that you can immediately, well, I find, well, perhaps it is a diamond in the rust or the rough, as Yanis said there, but it really is to find those right connections there. Okay, so we can, in order to not go too much over time, we did, of course, come back 10 minutes late from the coffee break. With your blessing, I'm going to release you, Agnieszka. You have. I love the idea of on-demand experts. By the way, I love the idea that someone is there all the time. That was in your presentation, but I can see that people can get a wealth of information just by looking at the platform and contacting whoever they need to at the EIC to find out more. But I think we have really covered the bases in this event anyway. I don't think people can go away saying they're not really clear and informed. So I can let you relax behind the scenes, and I can introduce our last two speakers to help me close this very comprehensive event. Thank you so much. Thank you. Very helpful. So there was a fabulous picture there. Before I ask the last two gentlemen in this case to join me at the end, I'm going to ask you, please, our good people at home, to not take part in a poll, but a word cloud, if I might. And the word cloud is this. First of all, thank you for participating. Please describe your main takeaways. Just 2 words, please, not long sentences, not even half a sentence, even 1 word if you like. But what really sort of stuck out for you? If you had to go now to the supermarket and say to whoever you meet there, this is the one thing I've just taken away from this fabulously comprehensive event, it would be profitability, vision, roadmap, right policy, policy framework, collaboration, people together, sharing expertise. Look, I'm giving you lots of possibilities there. Innovation, non-angry activist. Let's have a look. I don't know if we can see anything that's coming yet. Perhaps everybody's disappeared for us. A huge market. Well, there is that. It is coming at the absolute right time. There is a demand. There's a market. There's investors. There's the European Green Deal. So huge market. Business case. Okay. So I think there's been a lot on that to really put all the pieces of the puzzle on why There is a business case for climate action there. Innovation, peer-to-peer interaction. Okay, somebody did 4 words, but we'll accept that because it's a good answer in the word cloud. Profitability, consultation, indeed. Indeed, I like that. We're in this together. And in being in this together, I pick up on whoever had said it about really getting that collective energy, that buzz, that fizz. Don't wait for the next person to do it. As Sandra said there from Suez, we need to break out of the silos. Now I've got to do the putting the glasses on bit because I can't see anymore. Decarbonisation, challenging, yes. It is indeed challenging, but I think a good one. And there's some expertise there. It is a good one. It's one that we can't avoid in any case. Networking, inspirational. Oh, I like that. Inspirational. Well done to all of the speakers for inspiring that person who put the word inspiration. Be loud with your product. Nice. Tailored solutions, Green Deal. Thank you for somebody putting that in. That's good. At least we know. Co-creation, teamwork. There's a lot of teamwork. We're in this together. Future security, yes. Resilience, resilience. We heard about that, I think, from Carbon Clean or one of the other speakers in our there about resilience, about the future. It's about a roadmap. It's about thinking ahead. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Beginning. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Opportunity. Let's definitely, but collaboration is what came up the most. Collaboration, co-creation, innovation. So voila. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We've got about 5 or 6 minutes and we can release you for some food and some fresh air. I wonder what our last 2 speakers would describe as their specific takeaways. So I'm going to invite back a speaker I've had previously and also a new one who is Pierre Roubaud. He is head of sector at EIC Open Accelerator, and he's also, and of course, also to invite back EIC advisory board member and CEO of LG Sonic, Youssef. They might have a bumper plate. We might be able to see them on an opening bumper. If we can, it can be played now. There we go. And now I can actually invite both gentlemen to join me on screen. There we go. I can see now because you're not so small, you're bigger. I was really squinting there. Absolute pleasure to have you with me and back with me. What did you catch the word cloud results? What did you think about that? Any nice? Any surprises? What didn't you see there, perhaps? Or
yeah. Maybe a trend was missing. We are in a big trend where we are changing the overall perspective. The whole world is going towards carbon neutrality. Even the United States now are joining back to Paris Agreement. So everybody understands we need to go in that direction, being the politicians, the companies, and of course our innovators are there with us.
What would you agree with that, Youssef? Yeah?
Absolutely. I think it was an amazing, complete way of seeing what is today, what the meeting about today was. Yeah. So I didn't miss any words other than trend. Yeah.
Thank you. So if you had to say a couple of takeaway gems of wisdom, Youssef, because you were with me at the start and you gave some very, very useful gems of wisdom there. Anything that you would reinforce in all of that? Because there was a smorgasbord of content.
Yeah.
Is there anything you would say, Kat, I'd like people, or anything that you missed that you would say, Kat, I'd like to underline this, it wasn't heard so much?
So first of all, I would like to thank you because you have done an amazing job keeping the energy up in quite a long session, but I do see the numbers that didn't drop so much. So it's really amazing job, Katrina, for doing that. So amazed the way you did it. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And also I would like to come back on the presentation Agnieszka just gave. It wasn't very clear to show what we do during the program. One of the important tools is not only the network, because I saw the question, is it a network? No, it's not a network event. It's much more. We will provide the tools to reduce the green gases within the companies. And to do that, We need to go create. So it's a much larger program. I would like really to ask the entrepreneurs to go to the website to read a little bit more and reach out to us so we can support you with your mission to be successful, to scale up your company, but also at the same time to reduce the green gases emissions.
Thank you. Thank you. Pierre, what did you particularly think? Yeah, or okay, that's been said enough. What hasn't been said enough is this. What would you like to impart?
Maybe if you give me 3 seconds before, I would like to share with everybody my feeling of self-accomplishment. Because I remember a bit more than a year ago when the European institutions were starting to look at their own greenhouse gas emission and how to reduce it. We were looking at each other in the team and we were saying, look, we need to do that with all the beneficiaries. We cannot do it just for our own travel and our own building. We have so many companies with so good ideas. We need to get them, and we are there. So we are just launching it. So personally, I'm very happy about the way through and the launching, and I want to share that with you. Now, more specifically on the GAMS, for me, it's co-creation that we could emphasize a bit more, because so far we've been very successful to help an individual innovator to connect with an individual company or an individual investors. But here we are taking a bit more risk. We are trying to do something more. It's co-creation, is not one-to-one, but it's many to many. And we have plenty of innovation that are in similar field or that could be reinforcing each other. If you bring business intelligence together with energy efficiency, just to quote two of them, but there are so many different possibilities. And in a way, we are missing a bit the fact that we cannot meet physically. Because I remember the last time I had that is when we had the EIC summit in 2018 in Berlin. You put a few hundreds of innovators in the same room, and it's really amazing the new business, the creativity that comes out of that. And basically the Greenhouse Gas Programme is bringing that in the field, and that is something that is really, really cool. So I was in the shoes of Agnieszka until a month ago. So I decided to go for another job now. But I'm very much convinced that we're gonna be doing things great with the Greenhouse Gas Programme.
Thank you, thank you. What would you then say? Let me come back to you, Youssef, and ask. What's the one thing you're most optimistic about going forwards? With this programme and the timing thereof, or however you want to see that quite open-ended question. And if you could say, Kat, I'd just like to reinforce where there are challenges, a little bit of advice for what might be challenges out there, and a challenge and how it can be seen perhaps in another way.
Yes, I do really believe in the trends, what is happening at this moment. The entrepreneurs are hungry to grow. They have now the right tools. There is a lot of money available. It's not enough, but there is a lot of investment done in the market. So I will say, don't give up on your mission, entrepreneurs. And in your previous discussion, you asked the people to mention an animal or a thing. And that was really a nice question. And I thought, like, what will that be for me? And it will be chameleon. So adapt to your environment. So entrepreneurs, please adapt to the environment. See where is the trend. Go co-create, network, and don't give up.
And just before I move to Pierre, don't give up, absolutely. And you are a man, I think, who lives those words very, very well. And I would also ask you, there was a question that came from Seppi from Malgosia there. She said, what do startups want from industry, which you might have heard? What would you perhaps add to that?
Give us, I will say us, and see myself as the startup, give us the possibility to prove our concept, not from the first shot. So innovation is not done by a single day. The first car didn't go far, but once you support us as a corporate, give us the feedback and the time, and sometimes also the investment to prove and to improve it, because innovation, a real innovation, will never work from the first time. It will need some time to improve and adapt.
That is a brilliant ask, an ask we hadn't heard. So thank you very, very much. And I think, yeah, that space and that time, I think Sandra perhaps talks about it in another way when she talked about big companies working with startups, because they might become actually more open to, I never call it failure on this journey, because you always learn, right, by what perhaps doesn't work, but more open to things not hitting it the first time. So I think a really, really lovely point that you make there. Have a bit of patience, guys. Give us a bit of breathing space, you know, nurture that. You know, don't expect it all to be there. Pierre, what about you? You know the community well, so what might be more challenging, and how do you think, you know, beneficiaries could overcome something that might be a little bit more challenging, or they might be a bit nervous about?
Yeah, the most challenging thing is that we are multiplying the offer with the business acceleration services. We are providing a lot of different services. And as Agnieszka was pointing out, we would like to remind people to put their profile in the community, that we present to them the offer that correspond to their needs, so that we don't spoil them with a lot of initiatives where they are less interested.
Okay.
So keeping the right information about people so that we can provide to you just the information you need would be what I see as a challenge, I would say.
And the same thing to you on your long journey, and you say you used to be doing our Agnieszka's job, and this is new, but the journey has been long, and you've said, you know, you gave us a little bit of insight there how it came to be. What are you most optimistic about going forwards?
For me, it's people. I've seen a lot of energy, a lot of passionate people. As was said before, we are at a stage where we are with the early adopters or the technology champions, and in a way I'm convinced that in the 2 years that the project will take over, we're going to have a very significant awareness raising, and we're going to bring a big group of followers getting into reducing their greenhouse gas and providing services more respectful of our environment.
And a last question, of course, to you is the one that we heard chameleon there from Youssef. We heard butterfly, we heard triathlon, we heard all sorts of, sorry, we heard lover. We had also a real mix of how people can see, because she used a very, very good word at Malgosia at one point. She said some people who might be allergic to either sustainability or perhaps just the term. How would you describe, what would you describe it as in this decade, you know, in the context of all of this fabulous policy that's driving it in the European Green Deal? What could be a way of describing it?
If you ask me to talk about an animal, I would take the elephant. Not because they have such a big memory, but because the elephant, they are quite empathic. They take care of each other. They do things in group, and we have a community. We have such a rich community, and we can do things together, really.
That's lovely. And they also travel some distance, do they not? So they might not be as free as the butterfly, but they do travel a distance. That's lovely. They are empathic. I like that. And they have big listening ears, which is very important when you are sitting, co-creating and collaborating with others. Who said it? I said it, Epictetus, one of my favorites. We have 2 ears, but 1 mouth for a very good reason. So there you have it. I can release, unless if you've said everything you need to say, Pierre, I've had you for less long on the screen. I can release people by 12:15 for lunch. Have you downloaded all you need to?
Yeah, I'm very happy about this event, and I'm looking forward to see all people participating. We are starting with our offer already next week, so we will be having the co-creation event with CEPI, Suez, and Zaragoza already in May. We'll come with the tool very soon. So thank you, Katrina, for your energy in moderating the event, and thank you very much also, Youssef, for your long and very strong involvement in that.
You've both been absolutely delightful, absolutely lovely. Thank you very, very, very much. You are allowed to relax off screen, and I will just take 1 minute to close and say a few thanks and then release these good people in our audience to the rest of their day. So thank you so much, Youssef and Pierre.
My pleasure.
So there you have it, some lovely potent images there, the chameleon, the elephant, alongside all the others, the lover, the butterfly, the triathlon, everything that we heard. Oh yes, and we also had not the flag, but the tool. We had that as well from Gilberto. Let's not sort of have something in there as inspiring and for the future, but something we start with to forge our way forward, or at least that's how I took it. So where are we at? I hope this event, ladies and gentlemen, has been very, very practical, very useful, a little bit entertaining. It's always good, and inspiring. We did see that word, inspirational, in the word cloud. I learned a lot. I was very, very privileged to be in the company of some fabulous speakers who I really do thank warmly for sharing with us their considerable energy, expertise and experience. There was a whole lot more. We just scratched the surface, but they were just brilliant to have with me today. Could I also please, of course, thank the EIC, and in particular the two ladies who have been so busy organising this event and managing everything backstage today, Joanna and Mariana. You know who you are. You are fabulous and uber professional, and you really did put together a dynamic and content-rich agenda. And of course, may I thank our audience, all of you, for just turning up, tuning in and asking some intelligent questions. And I think there was some chat going on also on YouTube between all of you. So keep your eyes on the EIC website for more. Carry on the conversation on Twitter, hashtag GHG emissions. Spread the love, the joy, the enthusiasm to the wider community. That literally is it now from me, Katrina Sickle, from my upstairs room in my home in Brussels. So it's been an absolute pleasure to be with you. I wish you very, very good luck, passion, energy and drive, or kill it, as Gilberto would say, in your ongoing endeavours. And now you get to have the rest of your day and a lovely slap up lunch. Thank you very much.